Our protagonist, Lin Yi, is having a heated argument with his manager, Lily Yu, which ends up with him being fired. The argument started because he refused to give his leader a gift to make his life better, basically bribery. And in the corrupt corporation world, it is a grave sin to not bootlick. If it weren't bad enough, he then receives a call from his girlfriend who, before he can say anything, tells him that she wants to break up with him. She harshly tells him that she doesn't want to waste her whole life with a poor man like him and that she has already found another guy who's rich enough to fulfill all her gold-digging fantasies. So she tells him to never contact her again. With that, his girlfriend hangs up the call. In just one day, he lost both his job and his girlfriend. This turned out to be probably the worst day of his life, but all that is about to change. Suddenly, a bright blue light shines in front of him as a digital woman in a revealing maid costume appears out of thin air. She introduces herself as Ling Wei, the AI companion of the full career experience system, and his new servant. For some reason, Lin Yi has been chosen to receive the full career experience system, where he gets to experience a new career every week and receive amazing rewards to turn him into the world's biggest rich hotshot. Lin Yi almost couldn't contain his excitement at receiving the legendary systems seen in novels and manhwas. It's time to turn his life around. Just then, his first notification from the system pops up in front of his eyes. The notification informs him that just for being the system's owner, he is rewarded the full Uber driver registration package, 1 billion yuan, 100% controlling interests in the Peninsula Hotel, and a Pagani sports car worth 3 billion yuan. Lin Yi exclaims in surprise after seeing his rewards. The amount of funds he obtains from just this package alone could set him up for several lifetimes. However, Ling Wei reminds him that he can only experience each career for a week, so he can only receive rewards from his Uber career for the rest of the week before he changes jobs. In Lin Yi's view though, this system makes it even better for him, as he can simply reap the rewards from each package and become insanely rich. Ling Wei then takes out the Pagani's keys and tells him that the Pagani is in parking lot C area 22. Just then, his phone pings as it receives a new notification. The notification tells him that he is now registered as an Uber driver and that 10 million yuan has been sent to his account. Lin Yi is ecstatic to see that the rewards he receives through the system are real and heads down into the parking area to see his new car. His eyes observe his surroundings as he enters parking lot C. Usually only big shots in the company get to park here, so it is full of expensive cars. As he walks to the area where his shiny expensive Pagani is parked, he sees a long-legged beauty struggling to start her car. Lin Yi recognizes the woman as Miss Ji, who is a higher up in the company, and goes over to offer his help. Miss Ji recognizes Lin Yi as one of the employees from the sales department and tells him about her current dilemma. Seeing his chance to show off his new Pagani sports car, Lin Yi offers her a ride in his car, but Miss Ji politely declines, explaining that it's already late and she still needs to go to the Urban Renewal Authority, so she doesn't want to bother him. Unfortunately, their conversation attracts the attention of a nearby rich sleazebag who brags that she should come have a ride with him in his sports car instead of a small employee like Lin Yi. Miss Ji recognizes the sleazebag as Lai Yunhang, a notorious perverted flirt, and shoots down his offer. She is aware of his antics and refuses to have anything to do with him. But her cold attitude towards him does not deter Lai Yunhang, who remains stubborn and tries to push his offer on her, even slyly bragging about his new 200 million yuan sports car. Luckily, our daring protagonist interrupts his offer by saying there is no need, as he will send Miss Ji away. Lai Yunhang looks at his cheap appearance and laughs at his proposal, suggesting to Miss Ji that she should not go with Lin Yi because carpooling with him, she is taking a blow to her status. Annoyed by his hubris, Miss Ji retorts that she doesn't care if Lin Yi's car is ordinary and cheap. Being in Lin Yi's company is way better than what a pervert like him can offer. Snorting at her remarks, Lai Yunhang follows them both to prepare his vicious slander of Li Yin's car. But what they see parked in Area 22 makes them stop in their tracks in shock. It's a Pagani wind child, parked there in all its glory. Lin Yi proudly walks up to it and brags about his new car to the shocked Lai Yunhang, who cannot believe what he is seeing. Taking out the keys, he opens the car door for Miss Ji like a true gentleman, while teasing Lai Yunhang for trying to pick up Miss Ji in a sports car that is only worth 200 million yuan. Lai Yunhang is angered by his comment but cannot retort. It's a Pagani wind child after all. It is so rare that he can't even get an appointment to just talk about getting this sports car. Realizing his mistake, Lai Yunhang hurriedly tries to suck up to Lin Yi and ask for his forgiveness. However, Lin Yi arrogantly refuses to acknowledge him, saying that he is nowhere near qualified to stay by his side. And with that, Lin Yi drives off in his brand new sports car, leaving Lin Yunhang in the dust. Miss Ji's head continues to reel from her amazement as they drive to the Urban Renewal Authority. She is shocked that a mere employee in the sales department can own such an expensive car. Lin Yi laughs at seeing his boss's confusion and makes up a story about him secretly being a second-generation rich playboy who simply wants to enjoy life by working in small jobs. He explains that right now he is trying his hand at Uber and suggests that Miss Ji try placing an order for him. Somehow, Miss Ji believes Lin Yi's words and opens her Uber account to place her order for him. Soon, they arrive at the Urban Renewal Authorization. Miss Ji pays for her ride and thanks him before entering the building. He's completed his first job. Ling Wei appears to congratulate him and tells him that the system has awarded him 50,000 proficiency points and 5 billion yuan for completing his first job. Plus, his driver career completion went up by 5%. Lin Yi couldn't believe it. $5 billion just for completing an Uber drive. This system is insanely overpowered. The scene then changes to the Peninsula, a famous 5-star hotel and one of the top hotels in all of China. In the hotel, an arrogant young rich man named Yunji is showing off how rich he is to a beautiful girl named Sisi Liu. This Sisi Liu is our main protagonist's ex-girlfriend who broke up with him earlier. She left Lin Yi so that she can be with the much richer and more successful Yunji, instead who is currently flaunting how rich he is by renting a private room for her birthday in the Peninsula. Sisi embraces her new boyfriend, thankful that she has found such a good sugar daddy. Yunji smiles at having a beauty compliment him. However, Yunji's good mood sours as he recognizes a familiar face entering the Peninsula Hotel. It's Lai Yin, here to claim his 100% controlling interest in the Peninsula Hotel. Unaware of that fact though, the two look at him in disgust for tainting the atmosphere of this high-quality hotel with his poor presence. Sisi berates him for having the gall to show up in the Peninsula. She misunderstands that he came there to try to gain her back, but Lin Yi knows better than to pick a gold digger again. He tells Sisi that he isn't here for her and that he can go to this average hotel and stay here without paying for anything. Yunji scoffs at Lin Yi's words, believing them to be lies in a feeble attempt to look good in front of his ex. This is one of the best 5-star hotels in all of China. He doesn't deserve to be here. Sisi couldn't let her new boyfriend's mood be ruined by her ex, so she decisively called security on him. In a flash, several security guards rushed over. Yunji smiles as he looks forward to seeing Lin Yi getting humiliated by security and getting thrown out. But contrary to both his and Sisi's expectations, the guards didn't apprehend the so-called poor bastard and instead respectfully bowed towards him. The two are completely shocked. How did the security guards know who Lin Yi is? Could he be the owner of the Peninsula Hotel? But despite what they say in their heads, reality seems to differ as one of the guards informs him that they must escort him to the conference room to discuss updates about the hotel. Sisi looks in horror as Lin Yi agrees and follows the security guard deeper into the hotel. The worst possible thing that can happen to a gold digger is happening to her, losing out on a rich man. When Lin Yi finally arrives at the conference room, he is instantly greeted with financial statements, contracts, and other important documents that need reviewing for the peninsula to stay afloat. Seeing the huge stack of papers, Lin Yi realizes the downsides of obtaining the Peninsula Hotel as he must work to gain money now. With a disgruntled expression, he simply tells them to continue with the same pattern of work before and that he trusts them to do the right thing. Just then, another staff member enters the conference room and informs him that a customer wants to file a complaint against the hotel. The other staff member asks her what the complaint is, and she explains that this customer filed an application at the hotel's car rental service to rent a Mercedes-Benz. However, the hotel's last available one was taken by a VIP user, and now the customer is complaining non-stop about how the hotel wronged her. After hearing the full story from his staff member, Lin Yi reassures his staff that he will meet with the client himself to discuss her complaint. Assigning the mounds of paperwork to them instead, Lin Yi then walks out of the conference room and prepares to use his charm to solve the problem. Lin Yi soon arrives in front of the client's room and politely knocks on her door. A beautiful woman in a bathrobe opens the door and Lin Yi politely greets her, introducing himself as the person in charge of the hotel. Gu Jingxi is surprised that the owner is someone so young and so handsome. Instantly, her attitude turned a full 180. All the irritation she had from the hotel's faulty customer service is washed away by our protagonist's incredible attractiveness. She says that the car rental issue isn't a big deal and that they can just arrange another car for her. However, our cheeky MC sees an opportunity to get into a beauty's good graces and offers to rent out his Pagani to her. The mention of an expensive sports car suddenly makes him even more attractive in Gu Jingxi's eyes. But she sadly explains that she can't afford to rent such an expensive car. Luckily for her, Lin Yi has a soft spot for beauties, and he offers to drive her where she is going. All she must do in return is to pay him through Uber. Gu Jingxi is grateful for Lin Yi's kindness. Since she's in a hurry though, she invites Lin Yi inside as he waits for her to change. Inside, Lin Yi is treated to a glass of water and a seductive show as Gu Jingxi, intentionally or not, changes her clothes behind a blurry glass panel, showcasing her amazing figure to Lin Yi, who seems more than satisfied by the erotic display. She steps out wearing a seductive dress which greatly accentuates her amazing figure. Lin Yi is more than happy to accompany a beautiful lady, and then they both go down together. Meanwhile, in the lobby, Sisi and Yunji can be seen arguing with each other. Sisi does not want to be seen together with Yunji anymore so that Lin Yi would not misunderstand and think that they are still together. Yunji is flabbergasted by this woman's thick skin. He angrily tells her that she is delusional to think that Lin Yi would take her back after she left him for a richer man. One of Sisi's friends worriedly looks at her as she agrees with Yunji's sentiment and is unsure if Lin Yi will take her back. Sisi is confident in herself though and reassures her friend that if she plays with Lin Yi's pity, he will come crawling back to her. Her friend sighs in envy. Sisi has Lin Yi now, yet she herself can't even find a good quality man like him in her life. A gloating smile forms on Sisi's face as she reassures her friend again that once she makes up with Lin Yi, she will take her out on a ride on his Pagani. However, her ambitions of being a trophy gold-digging wife seem to go down the drain as she looks back to see Lin Yi accompanying an even more beautiful woman down the stairs. Still stubbornly holding on to hope, Sisi puts on her best smile and hurriedly approaches the two. With the sweetest voice she can muster, she greets Lin Yi as honey while asking if the woman next to him is his secretary. He defensively tells her that who Gu Jingxi is to him does not matter to her. Sensing the hostility in his words, Sisi activates her crocodile tears to garner some pity points, pitifully asking if he didn't love her anymore despite so many years of affection. Although she does admit that Gu Jingxi has a much better body than her, she still believes her skills are far superior. Gu Jingxi affectionately holds Lin Yi's arm and tells her that he complimented her skills as being much better than his ex-girlfriend's. Both Lin Yi and Sisi stare in surprise at her actions, but Lin Yi reacts fast and pulls her even closer to his body, saying that not only are her skills much better, but she is also much more flexible. Both then walk hand in hand and leave the hotel. In a final act of desperation, Sisi throws herself at Lin Yi and offers to be one of his other lovers instead. She somehow truly thinks that with their past, Lin Yi still has some feelings for her that she can use. Unfortunately though, Lin Yi now knows his own value and has had enough of her antics. He angrily points out all the terrible things about her, like how she doesn't wash her hair, that she has a poor figure, and that she is incredibly vain and would cheat if she finds a richer man. She's not worth the effort. With his savage barrage of insults finished, he warns her not to approach him again and turns away, leaving her to wallow in her own despair. The pair make their way to the parking area where Lin Yi's Pagani awaits them both. Lin Yi then asks Gu Jingxi where she would like to go, and she replies that she needs to go to Fairview Hotel to attend the wedding of her friend. She's embarrassed to ask a favor from him, but Lin Yi reassures her that she is more than welcome to ask. At the Fairview Hotel, 3 of Gu Jingxi's friends can be seen impatiently waiting for her to arrive. One of them complains about how late she is, and sarcastically asks if she's on a date with her supposed rich boyfriend she keeps bragging about. One of the friends said that Gu Jingxi mentioned she would be arriving soon with the new Mercedes-Benz her boyfriend bought for her. But the last woman warns her friend not to believe her words. She believes that Gu Jingxi is simply bragging about having a rich boyfriend since the rest of them have rich boyfriends. In all the parties they attend, she always comes alone, so there is no way she's not single. She is probably just jealous of them. But as if the universe wanted to spite her words, Lin Yi's shiny new Pagani whizzes by and parks a few feet away from the 3 ladies. From the sports car steps out the beautiful Gu Jingxi, looking especially dazzling next to the expensive sports car. One of her friends sighs in admiration. Not only was Gu Jingxi's boyfriend real, but he also owns a Pagani which is several times more expensive than a Mercedes-Benz. Seeing her friend's admirable looks makes Gu Jingxi happy. To really drive the nail on her rich boyfriend, she quickly ducks down and asks Lin Yi for another favor. Since she pretended to be his new lover to repel his snake of an ex, it's his turn to pretend to be her lover so that she'll look good in front of her friends. Lin Yi is happy to help and makes sure his voice is especially loud while he bids his honey goodbye. The scene then shifts to Lin Yi's apartment where we see a young woman arguing with her mother. The young woman's name is Zhang Jingjing, a friend of Lin Yi, and currently, she is trying to convince her mother to let Lin Yi extend his overdue rent payment for a few more days. Her mother, Wu Jinlin, on the other hand, refuses to do so as she suspects that he will run away. She is also upset with her daughter's crush on Lin Yi as he sees his measly sales employee wage as not enough to support her daughter. Her daughter is going to be a civil servant in the future. Lin Yi's mere sales employee wage is incomparable. Lin Yi enters the house right in the middle of the mother and daughter pair's debate. Lin Yi respectfully greets them both and informs Wu Jinlin that he will be moving out of their home. Wu Jinlin misunderstands the situation as him trying to run away from his rent payments and angrily scolds him for trying to cheat her out of her money. However, Lin Yi reassures her that isn't his intention and to show his goodwill by transferring a huge amount of money to Wu Jinlin's account. Wu Jinlin is shocked. The monthly rent is only 2,000 yuan, yet he transferred twice that amount. Lin Yi explains that he feels guilty for always being late for his rent payments and says that the extra money is compensation for it. Wu Jinlin realizes he is serious about moving out and curiously asks him how he is going to earn more money to rent a new place. Lin Yi vaguely says that he will earn his money through running Uber from now on and proceeds to grab his things. Zhang Jingjing offers to help him with his bags and Wu Jinlin, fearing that he will steal something, follows him downstairs. Outside, Zhang Jingjing catches sight of Lin Yi's parked Pagani and stares in awe, wondering which rich guy decided to visit their neighborhood. Meanwhile, Wu Jinlin looked around for Lin Yi's old car but couldn't find it anywhere. Confused, she asks Lin Yi where he parked his old Cherry, and he reveals the shiny new car keys he obtained from the system. Turns out he is the owner of the Pagani. Both mother and daughter stare in surprise, especially Wu Jinlin, who cannot believe that he owns such an expensive car for a simple wage earner. Lin Yi smiles at their shocked faces and brags that he was simply pretending in the past. He only worked at his job part-time to enjoy life. He is a rich second-generation nepotism baby in secret. Lin Yi then gets into his fancy sports car and drives away, leaving both in the dust. Both stare at the speeding away car speechlessly. They can't even recognize the new Lin Yi anymore. Zhang Jingjing looks at her mother and teases her for disliking Lin Yi for being so poor, yet here he is now with a car worth 3 billion yuan. Now that he is rich, she can even try going for him seriously. But Wu Jinlin smacks her out of her delusional thoughts. Lin Yi was not worthy of her back when Wu Jinlin thought he was poor, so naturally now that he is rich, Zhang Jingjing is not worthy of him. It's better for her to just keep studying and reviewing to be a civil servant instead. Back at the Peninsula Hotel, one of his staff members moves Lin Yi's belongings to the presidential suite where he will live from now on. In addition, Lai Yin also asks the staff to send food to his room. He's starving. In his new suite, Lai Yin enjoys the lavish cooking of the hotel and stuffs himself silly with gourmet food. As he pats his oversized tummy in satisfaction, he receives a text on his phone. It's from Miss Ji saying that her business at the Urban Renewal Authority is finished and she is asking if Lin Yi can come and get her. Looks like there's no rest for our charming protagonist as Lin Yi agrees to be there in 30 minutes to pick her up. Soon he arrives in front of the URA's building where Miss Ji can be seen waiting in front. Lin Yi excitedly greets Miss Ji and asks her if she would like to place an order. Confused, Miss Ji asks what order he was talking about, to which Lin Yi cheekily replies that she must pay him on Uber for the ride. Miss Ji laughs at Lin Yi's silly antics, yet agrees to place an order. Miss J recalls that Lin Yi was the best employee they had on the sales team. He was even known as the local sales champion. Yet even a great employee like him was dismissed. Something fishy must be going on inside the company, so she decides to investigate the problem even more once she returns to the company. For now, she places the order on Uber and gives Lin Yin his money. Suddenly, Ling Wei appears out of nowhere in a skimpy bunny outfit, surprising Lin Yi. She reassures the pale-faced Lin Yi that Miss Ji cannot hear her nor see her. Ling Wei observes the beautiful Miss Ji and is impressed. The system gives her 85 points on the charming scale. Because of that, Lin Yi has completed the system's hidden mission. to transport at least 2 or more beauties with a charming score of 85 or more points. The mission awards him 10,000 proficiency points and increases his completion progress bar to 50%. The rich rewards entice Lin Yi, who realizes that this is a good way to earn proficiency points. Curiously, Lin Yi asks Ling Wei what a woman with a rating of 85 or more looks like. To help him, Ling Wei gives him a little tip. Women who are as beautiful as Miss Ji have a rating of 85 or more. With this very vague answer, Lin Yi now has an idea of where he can start with his proficiency points farm. Seeing him get lost in thought, Miss Ji asks Lin Yi if everything is alright. It seems as if he's facing a bigger problem than she is facing right now. Her statement probes Lin Yi's curiosity as he asks Miss Ji what kind of issue she is facing. Miss Ji confesses that the company needs to hold an event soon. However, all the hotels in the area are fully booked and can't spare the space for the area. She's been worrying about how to solve this problem for the past few days already. Hearing her dilemma, Lin Yi's eyes sparkle as he finds another opportunity to win over this beautiful woman's heart. He suggests that Miss Ji should try to book a venue with the peninsula. Its class is more than enough to please the higher-ups in the company. Miss Ji thinks that Lin Yi must be kidding, since the peninsula is the most famous 5-star hotel in China, and there is no way she can book the location even if she isn't afraid of the cost. Unbeknownst to her though, she is sitting right next to the hotel's owner. Lin Yi confidently tells her that what she says might not necessarily be true. Life is full of mysteries after all, just like how they both met today. She won't know if she doesn't try. His charming words convince Miss Ji, who agrees to go to the Peninsula Hotel. So with her permission, Lin Yi drifts the car around and heads to the Peninsula Hotel. However, Miss Ji adds a condition. If she can't negotiate to have a venue at the hotel, she doesn't have to pay for her ride. Feeling mischievous, Lin Yi innocently asks her what would happen if she were able to negotiate a venue with the Peninsula Hotel. Miss Ji thinks deeply for a moment before deciding to let Lin Yi pick his reward if he wins. Lin Yi thinks for a moment about what he wants Miss Ji to do before telling her that she must do 10 S-squats. Miss Ji suddenly has a bad feeling about his reward and asks him what exactly an S-squat is. Lin Yi tells her to search it up, so she pulls out her phone to see what it is. When the results are loaded, her face instantly flushes in embarrassment. Doing this is way too embarrassing. Then again, she did try to call the Peninsula Hotel before, and the manager said there was no more room. She ended up regretfully leaving that call with nothing to show for. Thinking that nothing would really change, she decided to take the chance at a free ride, so she agrees to the bet, an S-squat if she loses and a free ride if she wins. The pair soon arrives at the hotel and enter the lobby, where Miss Ji approaches the lobby to ask for Manager Wang. The receptionist, of course, recognizes Lai Yin, who is standing next to Miss Ji but decides to stay quiet. The receptionist recognizes that her boss is probably trying to charm this woman by pretending to be the pauper to attract the fair maiden. The receptionist respects Lai Yin's game and decides to tell Manager Wang in advance to follow the lady's demands to let their boss earn some good points. Soon, Manager Wang arrives at the lobby and respectfully greets Miss Ji, learning from the receptionist's heads up that his boss is trying to gain Miss Ji's favor. Miss Ji politely greets Manager Wang back and explains that she is the representative of her company, the Sunrise Group. The purpose of their sudden meeting today is to arrange a conference for her company in the Peninsula Hotel, so she is inquiring if the Peninsula Hotel's auditorium is still available to become a venue. Miss Ji is already fully expecting Manager Wang to reject her offer. However, with Lin Yi signaling Manager Wang from behind Miss Ji, Manager Wang has no choice but to accept unless he wants to lose his job. He tells Miss Ji that it is available and that he will arrange it for her when she needs it. Miss Ji is ecstatic after hearing his response. She tells him that the conference will be held in 10 days, and Manager Wang agrees to set up the auditorium for her and give her his full support. Miss Ji returns to the car completely ecstatic. She didn't expect that she would be able to secure the deal. All this thanks to Lin Yi's advice. Miss Ji really couldn't thank him enough for his help. Lin Yi is happy that he can help his old higher-up and slightly teases her by saying that he told her that there would be a surprise. But of course, he also wouldn't forget about their bet concerning the S-squats. Since she was able to secure the deal, she must do what she promised and give him a little show. Miss Ji's happy mood instantly disappears as she blushes deeply in embarrassment at Lin Yi's perverted antics. But as the president of Sunrise Group, she must always be true to her word and agrees to follow through. Lin Yi excitedly pulls down her seatbelt, impatient to see this beauty squat down and work it for him. Miss Jai is completely flabbergasted at his sudden change in personality. She's still in the car. Squatting here would almost be impossible with the little space. However, Lin Yi seems to be too excited to take that into account and impatiently insists that it's possible. Miss Ji suggests that she should do it at her own house instead. Lin Yi finally agrees to her suggestion and floors the gas pedal to take him to Miss Ji's house faster, scaring her in the process. She didn't think anyone would be that desperate to see a simple squat. Lin Yi's frantic driving lets them arrive at Miss Ji's home in no time. There, Miss Jai invites him in as she prepares her heart to do Lin Yi's perverted request. She shyly looks back at Lin Yi, who is sitting on the couch, and asks him if he wants to see her squat now. Lin Yi replies by impatiently hurrying her up. With a huge blush on her face, Miss Ji gives a forewarning that she has never done something like this before, so Lin Yi shouldn't complain if it does not turn out well. Then, with a click of her heels, she squats down right in front of Lin Yi, exposing all her lady bits to the world. The display made a steady stream of blood pour down Lin Yi's nose. Unfortunately for him, Miss Ji's father has now also seen the show, and he does not seem as pleased to see his only daughter doing what she is doing. Both Miss Ji and Lin Yi instantly stop what they are doing. They've been caught. Still blushing heavily, Miss Ji asks her father what he is doing at home already. However, her father stays silent. Seeing his own daughter do some erotic squats in front of a random man he doesn't know fills him with anger. The awkward silence persists in the room until Miss Ji's father retorts by asking why he can't be here. It's his house too, after all. Miss Ji knows her father is angry after the unholy scene he just witnessed, so she frantically tries to explain that Lin Yi is just her new yoga instructor. But Miss Ji's father can see the holes in her lame excuse. Yoga instructors don't watch from the sidelines after all. It's obvious the man she is with isn't one. Still trying to salvage the situation, Miss Ji tries to play it off by saying that he is an advanced type of yoga instructor who only gives verbal instructions. But her father has had enough of hearing her excuses and tells her to stand aside as he wishes to talk to the random man in his house. The old man grumpily sits next to Lin Yi, who scooches aside in fear of the intimidating old man. Miss Ji's father then angrily looks at him and starts to interrogate him on what he does. Nervously, Lin Yi introduces himself and says that his job now is running Uber. His answer worsens the old man's already bad mood as he sarcastically asks what kind of sports car he drives for Uber to attract his daughter. Without missing a beat, Lin Yi replies that he does drive one and that it's a Pagani Windchild worth 3 billion yuan. Hearing this, the old man's expression softens as his attitude has a 180-degree turn. He saw the Pagani outside, so he knew that he must be legit. He compliments him on how he is so much better than other dudes his age who just eat food and drink alcohol all day long. The old man then pats Lin Yi on his back and says that he can now rest easy knowing that his daughter found such a good man. Lin Yi couldn't believe Miss Ji's father's sudden change of attitude. Miss Ji tries to clear the misunderstanding he has and explains that she and Lin Yin are just friends, they aren't together. Her father simply looks at her confused. She already flashed her panties for Lin Yi, yet she is saying that they are just friends. He can never understand what antics of the younger generation. Nonetheless, Miss Ji's father likes what he sees in Lin Yi, especially his Pagani. He invites him to come with Miss Ji to her grandfather's 80th birthday, which is coming up soon. He then decides to give the two lovebirds a little space and leaves the room. Now it's only the two of them once again. Miss Jai is embarrassed that her father misunderstands her now and thinks she is dating Lin Yi. Then, without any warning, Lin Yi pounces on Miss Ji and pins her to the couch. While on top of her, he admits that he quite enjoys the misunderstanding and jokes that they should continue. His out-of-pocket riz makes Miss Ji blush heavily as she shyly replies that there is nothing to continue. In reply, Lin Yi sneakily snakes his hand down Miss Ji's skirt while commenting on how this place looked good while she was squatting. Feeling his sneaky hands, Miss Ji quickly pushes away the perverted Lin Yi from her. Confused, Lin Yi explains that his intentions are not perverted and that he is teaching her some advanced gym jumping exercises that emphasize exercising her thigh muscles. Somehow this convinces Miss Ji, which makes her feel terrible for misunderstanding his intentions. Suddenly, Lin Yi's phone rings and he takes it out to see a text message from one of his colleagues, inviting him out to a dinner some of them arranged for him because of his sudden dismissal. With nothing else to do, Lin Yi explains to Miss Ji that he still has an appointment and bids her farewell. He leaves to attend the little dinner get-together. Still flustered from his perverted request and his in-depth observation of his thigh muscles, Miss G doesn't see him out and tells him to go away. The scene then shifts to the restaurant where the dinner is taking place. Lin Yi walks inside and is instantly greeted by one of his colleagues, a beautiful white-haired woman named Wang Ying. She comments on how it was too hasty of him to quit so suddenly. With his prowess, he could have been promoted as sales director one day. From Wang Ying's words, it can be surmised that Lin Yi was a capable worker back then. However, not all seem to agree with her sentiment. Another man at the table named Huang Yue says that Wang Ying is wrong. He does not think that Lin Yi's performance back then would merit him being the sales director. Instead, he believes that his own performance far surpasses Lin Yi's, saying that he could have been the sales director is way too far-fetched. His harsh words offend Wang Ying, who defend Lin Yi by saying that his performance was much better, so the position of sales director naturally should have been his. Her words do not seem to bother Huang Yue though, as he simply shrugs and says that it does not matter anymore since he's been fired. He then pours a drink and offers it to another man at the table named Li Jiandong and congratulates him for having his appointment letter to become sales director go back down, proposing a toast in his honor. Li Jiandong smiles humbly and refuses the toast, saying that Lin Yi is the main character of the show today, so he cannot go around stealing the spotlight. Despite this, it is obvious that they both do not mean well and are doing this on purpose. Lin Yi senses the concealed hostility they have for him and calls them out on their behavior. They are just here to steal the show and embarrass him. However, both men simply play dumb, saying that they are here to congratulate him. Yet their veiled insults continue to persist, with Li Jiandong asking what his plans are now in the big city without a job. If he doesn't get a job soon, he must go crawling back to the countryside. Wang Yue laughs at his friend's comment and adds that Lin Yi can't even do that because he's an orphan. He doesn't have a home anywhere. Their arrogant looks say it all. They aren't here to be friends. Not letting Lin Yi even take a break from the insults for a second, Li Jiandong offers him a drink while arrogantly saying that he knows the property manager in his community. If he really wants to see what a home is like, then he is welcome to come to his door anytime. Even Wang Ying is taken aback by just how savage that burn was. However, Lin Yi himself remains calm. He turns down the invitation for the drink and retorts that he is doing just fine in the big city. The money he receives from running Uber is enough to sustain him. Just before the two can start insulting him about his new job choice, a waiter interrupts their conversation to ask who owns the Pagani outside. Everyone rushes to the window once they hear what they say. A Pagani? That's the type of car that only super rich people can buy. One of them predicts that the car costs at least 20 million yuan. The waiter explains that the Pagani is blocking the other cars from parking, so he must inform the owner to move. Lin Yi perks up hearing about his irresponsible parking practices, which does not escape the eyes of Huang Yue. He snorts and says that the waiter isn't talking about the old Cherry he drives around. It's a billion-yuan sports car, but Huang Yue is instantly proven wrong as Lin Yi takes out the solid gold keys to the Pagani and confirms that the sports car is indeed his own. All the men at the dining table stand up in shock, especially Li Jiandong, who can't believe that an orphan can afford such an expensive car. The stereotyping earns a nasty look from Lin Yi, who asks if being an orphan means you can't be rich. Lin Yi can no longer stomach the arrogance of his former co-workers. He offers to take Wang Ying home, and the two prepare to leave the restaurant. Li Jiandong soon realizes his mistake. He can't miss the opportunity to personally know a rich big shot. Li Jiandong quickly positions himself in front of Lin Yi and grabs his hands while calling him Big Brother. He apologizes for his short-sightedness and tries to invite him back to the table. But he's already lost his chance. Lin Yi takes back his hand and tells Li Jiandong that he will receive no help from him in becoming the sales director. Then, under the envious eyes of his former colleagues, Lin Yi and Wang Ying enter the shiny Pagani and drive off into the night. Wang Ying is completely surprised by the sudden turn of events. She has been working with Lin Yi for so long, yet she never knew that he was a rich guy. Lin Yi chuckles and humbly says that he received it all from his heritage. He does not like showing off how wealthy he is unless he must slap some arrogant douchebags' faces. What also surprises Wang Ying is that Lin Yi mentioned that he is working via Uber. Is this luxurious sports car what he uses to get people around? Lin Yi confirms that he is currently earning money using Uber and invites her to kindly pay for her ride to support him financially. Lin Yi's charming words convince Wang Ying, so she pulls out her phone to place her order. The notification on his phone goes off, telling him that he has received Wang Ying's payment. However, the system informs him that the overall scan on the charming meter has placed her at 84 points of charm, which is below the mission requirements, therefore, he receives no rewards. Lin Yi frowns. He didn't expect that the beautiful Wang Ying isn't even considered a great beauty by the system. Wang Ying notices his strange stare of disappointment at her, so she asks him if everything was alright. Lin Yi is unwilling to lose out on his potential rewards just because of the system's high standards, so she randomly asks Wang Ying if there was any way to make herself more charming. Taking his words as a challenge, she confidently says that increasing your charm is very easy. To demonstrate, she reaches into her purse and pulls out a pair of erotic-looking fishnet stockings before seductively putting it on in front of Lin Yi. She then strikes a pose and even pulls down her dress a bit to give Lin Yi a little show. Now there is no way that Lin Yi will think that she is not charming. However, Lin Yi seemingly doesn't even care about how beautiful Wang Ying looks right now, and instead hurriedly tells the system to reevaluate Wang Ying's charm. The system takes a few seconds to scan Wang Ying once again and gives her an overall score of 85, just barely making the mark to allow Lin Yi to receive the mission rewards. Lin Yi receives an increase in his career completion that shoots it up to 15%, and a luxurious villa at Jushugaku that he can claim by finding the sales manager. Lin Yi swears in his happiness at receiving such a good reward, confusing Wang Ying in the process. Soon, they arrive at this huge gated villa where Wang Ying and her husband lives. Seeing all he has to offer, Wang Ying decides to take her chance and invite him up to her home for a little talk, since her husband is away on a business trip. However, Lin Yi learned his lesson about women. If she's willing to cheat on her man with an even more successful guy, then she's for the streets. Lin Yi politely declines, so Wang Ying steps out of the Pagani alone and bids Lin Yi goodbye as he drives away. The next day, Lin Yi drives to the Jushugaku sales department to pick up the new villa he obtained through the system. When Lin Yi enters the building, he recognizes a familiar face working there. A young green-haired woman named Zhang Menju looks at Lin Yi in surprise. She was one of his colleagues back when he worked at Sunrise Group, who left the company way before he was fired. Curious, Menju asks Lin Yi what he is doing in a real estate sales department. Lin Yi scratches his head in embarrassment and replies that he is here to see her manager obtain a real estate license so that he can buy a home. This surprises Menju even more. She is very aware of how much he earns since they used to work for the same company. She discourages him from buying anything here as the prices for a set can go as high as 800 million. Out of her own goodwill, she advises Lin Yi not to waste his time here since he cannot afford anything anyway and tries to push him out the door. However, a firm voice stops her in her tracks. It's her manager Wang Hui. Manager Wang number 2 scolds Menju for trying to meddle in a customer's business and tells her that she will deal with her later. Menju tries to protest, but female manager Wang's attention is no longer on her. Instead, she seductively brushes Lin Yi's hands against her blessed assets and introduces herself to him before offering to show him the rooms first. Menju, being the nosy girl that she is, tries to stop her manager from wasting her time on a poor man by explaining that he used to be her old colleague, so she knows Lin Yi cannot afford anything. Her careless remarks anger manager Wang, who scolds her and tells her to go to HR to settle her salary and leave. Menju feels wronged as she genuinely believes that her manager is wasting her time. She stubbornly insists that Lin Yi cannot afford anything that they have to offer. However, her belief is soon shattered as manager Wang reveals that Lin Yi bought a set of 9 villas from them earlier. This revelation shocks Menju so badly that she falls to the ground. Somehow, she seems more upset finding out that her former colleague is now rich than her losing her job. Lin Yi ignores the plight of his ex-coworker and instead focuses on his reward. He is impressed with the system's method of doing things. It didn't reward him just 1 villa, but 9, as expected of the legendary system. After Menju leaves, manager Wang apologizes to Lin Yi for her employee's attitude. Menju has been under a lot of stress lately, which has affected her mental health, but she doesn't really care about her mental well-being, and is instead regretful that Menju's deteriorating mental health has affected Lin Yi's apartment buying experience. Lin Yi doesn't seem to care much either and is glad that Menju is fired. With the incident now put in the past, Lin Yi asks manager Wang if the formalities of obtaining his new villas are now complete and if he can already obtain the real estate license and keys for them. Manager Wang cheerfully confirms that the papers and titles are all ready as some of her staff present Lin Yi with the official documents and keys. Lin Yi is now the proud owner of several luxurious villas. He takes them to his car and plops the huge stacks of documents on the passenger seat. Suddenly, he receives a text message from Wang Yang telling him that Li Jiandong and Yu Lily, the woman that got him fired, have just been laid off from work. Lin Yi couldn't believe it. He was fired just yesterday, and now the two people who opposed him at the company got fired. He compares the speed of their layoffs to a Formula One race car. Then he gets a new text message from Miss G telling him that she investigated the reasons for why he was fired and fired the two responsible for his departure. So Miss Jai is the one responsible for their quick dismissals. Lin Yi then curiously asks her what she will do now with the position of sales director, since originally it was supposed to be Li Jiandong. Miss G admits to Lin Yi that she wants to hire him again and have him as the sales director. But Lin Yi politely declines the offer, citing that he is doing well in his part-time gig with Uber. He does suggest having Wang Yang take the mantle as sales director, though, as she is a responsible worker and continued to be friendly with him even after he was fired. Miss G listens to his suggestion and promises to keep it in mind. In addition to the news, Miss G also texted to ask him to pick her up as her car is still at the repair shop being fixed. As her humble Uber driver, Lin Yi is more than happy to be of service. As he drives Miss G to the company, Lin Yi gets a sudden mission from the system. Get a 5-star review to earn 200,000 proficiency points and an increase in his career completion until it reaches 25%. Lin Yi soon arrives at Sunrise Group. With the mission in mind, he reminds Miss G to give him a 5-star review so that his Uber profile would look a lot better. Lin Yi did not ask for any 5-star ratings before, so Miss Jai is surprised he is asking now. She recalls that she still owes him 9 squats after their earlier session was rudely interrupted, so she proposes that in exchange for giving him a 5-star review, he will have to make sure she doesn't have to do her 9 other squats anymore. Lin Yi's mind instantly changed after hearing her suggestion. Career completion and proficiency points? It's super simple to earn them. But seeing such a beautiful beauty do the squats for him is practically a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He refuses to give up the privilege of seeing her do those erotic S-squats. Miss Jai is taken aback by his dedication to seeing her do those S-squats. Her face turns a deep red and she calls him an annoying pervert before unbuckling her seatbelt and getting out of the car. As Miss G exits, she runs into the familiar figure of Wang Yang, who is surprised to see the president of Sunrise Group come out of Lin Yi's car. Seeing Wang Yang, Lin Yi starts acting as if he was a husband caught having an affair. He hurriedly explains that Miss G coincidentally called him up when she ordered a ride on Uber. His flustered behavior does not escape Wang Ying's keen eyes. Suddenly, the reason why Li Jiandong and Yu Lily were fired became clear. Turns out that Lin Yi has a relationship with the president of the company. How scandalous. This new piece of information disappoints Wang Ying, who realizes she has no chance with Lin Yi. The president is extremely beautiful after all. Apparently, she also coincidentally forgot that she's already married. Now in the presence of one of her employees, Miss G reverts to her professional mode. Her expression turns all serious as she tells Wang Ying that work is about to start for the day, so she beckons her to enter the building with her. Not wanting to anger her boss, Wang Ying respectfully follows behind her. But as they enter the building, Miss G's expression softens as she takes out her phone. Soon, Lin Yi's phone goes off as his Uber notifies him that he has just received a 5-star review for his job. Excellent. Now he can reap his bountiful rewards. Lin Yi shoots a knowing look at Miss J. She may have a sharp tongue, but he has her wrapped around the tips of his fingers. Later in the day, Lin Yi receives another job on Uber. The app's GPS shows that the client is from Teeny Homes, which is close to where he is right now. With nothing to do, Lin Yi decides to take the job in hopes of improving his career completion. Lin Yi accepts the order and soon he receives a call from his client. A bubbly female voice answers him and asks how old he is. Although confused with the random question, Lin Yi replies that he is 24 years old. The client sighs in relief and quickly asks Lin Yi for a favor. In exchange for a 5-star review, he must pretend to be her boyfriend when he arrives at her address. Lin Yi is speechless at first. He's already pretended to be several women's boyfriends in the span of a few days. Nonetheless, he isn't against doing it again and accepts the deal. Lin Yi then drives to the location on the GPS and eventually arrives in front of a tall condominium. Lin Yi navigates through the different floors until he reaches his client's condo and politely knocks on the door. A beautiful blonde-haired girl opens the door for Lin Yi, and he recognizes her as Xiao Yu, a popular vlogger. Meanwhile, Xiao Yu is also taken aback after seeing Lin Yi. She did not expect her Uber driver to be so handsome, even better than some idle trainees. She bashfully takes his hand and leads him inside where her parents are waiting. Remembering their deal, Lin Yi respectfully greets Xiao Yu's mother as he steps inside. Xiao Yu's mother and father warmly greeted him and invited him inside. There they ask Lin Yi what he does in his spare time. Lin Yi smiles and says that he does Uber as his main job. The warm smiles from both the parents instantly disappear, replaced instead with looks of horror. They can't believe that their daughter picked an Uber driver of all people to date. Seeing the situation take a turn for the worst, Xiao Yu steps up to defend Lin Yi by saying that Uber is also a pretty profitable job, adding that she was able to buy all the jewelry she currently owns because of Lin Yi. In addition, Lei Yin is also saving up enough money for a business. Naturally though, her parents can see through all her lies and shoot judging looks at Lin Yi. Xiao Yu's father retorts that 9 out of 10 business ventures fail. Her future is not secure with him. Trying to find a way out of her parents' nagging, she changes the subject by reminding them that they need to go to a friend's party. This seems to work as both parents temporarily drop the matter. Xiao Yu offers to let her boyfriend take them to the party while they both go to the mall afterwards. But Lin Yi interrupts her by embarrassingly admitting that his vehicle only has enough space for 2 seats. Xiao Yu and her parents looked at him, completely flabbergasted. A vehicle that only has 2 seats. Does that mean he is a motorcycle driver? Lin Yi leads them down with the embarrassed Xiao Yu and her disappointed parents in tow. Behind Lin Yi's back, Xiao Yu's father complains to his wife that their daughter must have fallen on her head recently. She thought dating someone who owned a motorcycle was a good idea. Xiao Yu's mother agrees with her husband's sentiment and says that if their neighbors knew, they would become complete laughingstocks. But it seems that their worries were for naught as Lin Yi pulls out his iconic golden car keys and opens the door to his Pagani. Xiao Yu and her parents looked at the sports car in shock. They do not know the car's full value, but they are more than aware that it's worth a lot of money. This means that Lin Yi is loaded. With this, Xiao Yu's parents' attitudes had a full 180 change. They hurriedly push her towards the car while talking to Lin Yi respectfully. Soon, the pair drives off. While driving, Lin Yi asks Xiao Yu where she wanted to go, and she replies that she wants to go to the Times Square Mall. While they drive to her requested destination, Xiao Yu stares at Lin Yi pitifully and asks him if she can ask for another little favor. She asks if she can go live while she's in the car. Riding in an expensive sports car like this is super rare. Xiao Yu has got to take advantage of it and show off to her online audience. Lin Yi doesn't mind her starting a live if she gives him that 5-star review. She replies that it's no problem and starts up her live. Flashing a peace sign to her audience, she shows off the car she's being driven around in. Her audience goes nuts after recognizing the car their beloved vlogger is riding, the luxurious Pagani Windchild. A barrage of questions fills the chat. Who is she driving with? Is her boyfriend the owner of the car? Some of the viewers sigh in admiration as they find Lin Yi to be very handsome, while others trolled Xiao Yu by saying that she probably sold her body to get in the car. Even with both positive and negative comments directed at her, Xiao Yu is ecstatic seeing all the attention she is getting for riding in a luxurious sports car. Plus, she doesn't mind giving her body to such a rich and handsome man. Soon, the two arrive at Times Square where Xiao Yu gets off. As promised, she gives him a full 5-star review for his excellent acting skills. Ling Wei materializes on top of the surprised Lin Yi's lap and congratulates him for receiving another 5-star review on his service. For finishing the mission, he is rewarded with increasing his career completion to 35% and mastering driving skills, including an entrance to the Zhonghai International Circuit, the best racetrack in the world besides the Abu Dhabi Circuit. Lin Yi decides that he will check it out once he has enough time. For now, he needs to give his phone an upgrade. He's been using the same old phone he had. Now that he has money, it's time to buy a new one. Since he coincidentally took Xiao Yu to the Times Square Mall, Lin Yi decides to ask a favor in return by requesting that Xiao Yu takes him to the nearest phone shop. Of course, Xiao Yu wouldn't turn down the opportunity to get to know a rich hotshot better, so she readily agrees. Xiao Yu beckons Lin Yi over to the phone store named Pier to buy a new phone. Inside, Xiao Yu continues to broadcast as Lin Yi looks for the phone he wants. Without much hesitation, he points to one cell phone and tells the salespeople to load it up with the maximum memory. Seeing how pricey the cell phone Lin Yi is trying to buy, Xiao Yu tries to discourage him from buying it as buying online is a lot cheaper. However, Lin Yi doesn't mind as he reassures Xiao Yu while gently caressing her cheek, making her blush. The store employee then packs up the cell phone and asks Lin Yi if he would like to buy a phone case so that his new 10,000 yuan phone will not be scratched easily. In reply, Lin Yi says that just like with condoms, he doesn't feel comfortable having some protection. However, it seems that his weird saying flies right over the employee's head as he offers him some phone cases and asks what his favorite design of the phone case is, much to Lin Yi's dismay. Instead of looking at the phone cases, Lin Yi proudly declares that his real intention is to buy more than one phone so that he can directly replace any phone that is scratched. And in a shocking move, Lin Yi orders 5 phones of every color. This awesome display of how rich Lin Yi is shocks both Xiao Yu and the store employee. That makes it 20 units in total. The store employee asks him if he is sure that he wants to buy so many phones. Hearing the store employee's doubt, Lin Yi decides to double down on his spending spree and even adds a computer to his purchases. Xiao Yu is shocked at the amount of swagger Lin Yi shows with how much he just bought. Her live chat explodes with comments and viewers after seeing Lin Yi's spending habits, reaching up to 5 million viewers. It really is true that showing off your wealth live is the best way to increase your popularity. As she receives more comments and gifts from her live chat, both Lin Yi and Xiao Yu leave the phone shop with their newly purchased goods. Xiao Yu then asks Lin Yi if he wants to buy anything else. He thinks for a moment before saying that he would like to buy a new watch for himself. The pair then walks into a luxury brand store to find a watch for Lin Yi. A store employee notices the two and tells her manager that she will entertain the two. However, her manager tells her not to bother with the reception as it is a waste of time. She points out Xiao Yu, who is live streaming and guesses that she is trying to impress her live chat by showing off her fake wealth. They are the luxury brand Jiangshai Egton after all. Only the super rich can have the right to buy in their store. There is no way the average broadcaster can afford to buy a watch from them. Hearing her deduction, the employee praises the manager for her wisdom. Lin Yi and Xiao Yu started looking around the store for a watch. Seeing all the expensive prices, Xiao Yu can't help but have a shocked expression on her face. Lin Yi, on the other hand, keeps his cool and asks the manager to take out the watch for him. However, the manager simply smiles and denies his request, explaining that the watch can only be shown to him after payment is made. This surprises Xiao Yu even more. After all, how can you buy something when you haven't even gotten a good look at it? Suddenly, someone else calls for the manager's attention. A fat, rich-looking man enters the store with a beautiful woman in tow. As the pair enters the store, the manager greets them both warmly, calling them both Mr. and Mrs. Lin, and asks them how she could help them. The pair looks around for a moment until Mrs. Lin's eyes become attracted to a gold watch on display. Her eyes sparkle as she looks at the watch, and she says that she wanted it for her birthday present. The manager then shamelessly takes out the watch to allow the couple to take a better look despite not doing so earlier with Lin Yi and Xiao Yu. Both Lin Yi and Xiao Yu look on, speechless at the manager's blatant favoritism. Even Xiao Yu's live chat is completely shocked at the manager's shamelessness. Lin Yi cries out in outrage at the unfair treatment he is receiving from the manager. However, the manager brushes off his bad comments and says that she is simply treating a customer with the level of prestige and respect that he deserves. This makes Lin Yi upset, and he calls her a dog that looks down on other people in frustration. In order to calm him down, Xiao Yu gets in between him and the manager and explains that all luxury shops are usually that snobbish, so it is not worth getting angry over it. The manager looks on in disgust and calls them two clowns that just want attention, while the rich man and his woman look on at the entertaining spectacle with delight. Xiao Yu hurriedly pulls the upset Lin Yi right out of the store, reassuring him that it is not necessary to buy there. Soon, the pair arrives at a new watch store. This time, the employees are a lot more accommodating, with one employee greeting them as they enter and asking them what she can help them with. Lin Yi admits that he is not familiar with the place and asks Xiao Yu for help regarding what to buy for himself. She replies that she doesn't know either and decides to get suggestions from her chat instead. She reads the top comments in her chat for a moment and says that they all suggest that he buy the 175th anniversary model. The employee looks on in shock. The 175th anniversary model is a very expensive product. Even those that are super rich are not guaranteed to afford it. Xiao Yu realizes that the people suggesting the 175th anniversary model are simply trolling and becomes worried that Lin Yi will get upset again. She reassures Lin Yi that she will kick them all out of the broadcast for trolling. However, Lin Yi simply looks at the chat and smiles. She tells Xiao Yu that there is no need to kick them, instead, let her viewers watch and enjoy the show. With sheer confidence, Lin Yi proudly exclaims that he will go ahead and buy the 175th anniversary watch. This shocks all the employees in the store as they cannot believe that someone is rich enough to be able to afford the item. To show that he is serious though, Lin Yi pulls out his black magic card. Suddenly, every employee in the store starts to quickly approach him and fawn over him. They explain that the model is currently not in stock, however, and it still needs to be transferred here from Europe. Instead, they will deliver it to his home once they have it in stock. Xiao Yu is surprised that such a large and fancy store can be out of stock with the 175th anniversary model watch, so an employee explains that only 6 models of this particular watch have been made in the world, and the manufacturers in Europe only allocated China one piece. Soon, the information that someone rich enough to buy the 175th anniversary watch spread throughout the mall. Back in the previous luxury watch shop, the employees gossip to the manager about the new news, so they decide to go outside and check out who the supposedly super rich person is. As the manager and her employees come out to have a better look, she is shocked to find out that the people coming out of the other luxury watch store are none other than Lin Yi and Xiao Yu, the pair that she rudely rejected. As the pair make their way past them, the manager decides to swallow her pride and try her best to invite them back into her store with promises of new models ready for Lin Yi to see and buy. However, Lin Yi just looks at her with anger and says that there is no need, as a poor man like him is not up to her level of service. The manager cries and tries to beg Lin Yi to come back, but it is too late. Her words have come to bite her back. She kneels on the floor in tears, slapping herself in the cheeks for saying something so stupid. Because of her words, she missed out on possibly a big-time commission. Outside, Lin Yi gives Xiao Yu one of the phones he just bought as a thanks for shopping with him for so long. Xiao Yu blushes as she takes the phone and thanks him for the gift. And as Lin Yi drives off, Xiao Yu inwardly thinks to herself that if only such a nice, gentlemanly, and rich person like Lin Yi really was her boyfriend. Lin Yi drives off and soon arrives at the Zonghai International Circuit to claim his ownership of the area. As he reaches the reception area though, the employees at the registrar apologize and tell him that the racetrack is closed off to the public. Lin Yi clears up the misunderstanding by telling her that he isn't here to play but rather meet with their manager. Hearing this, the employee at the front desk smiles and tells him that she will inform the manager. But just before she could do so, the door opens and several young rich-looking people enter the establishment. One of them, named Qin Han, who is seemingly the leader of the group, takes off his sunglasses and demands to know why there are still outsiders inside the establishment when he paid for the whole circuit to be cleared out before. One of the employees apologizes to Qin Han and explains that Lin Yi is there to see the manager, not to race. Meanwhile, the other employee beckons Lin Yi to follow her to the second floor to see the manager of the circuit. Lin Yi looks back curiously and asks the employee who that young rich person was that closed down the whole tracks so that he can use it in private. The employee seems surprised that Lin Yi is unaware of the young man's identity and explains that he is the famous Qin Han, a rich young man that nobody dares mess with. Soon, the two arrive at the second floor where Lin Yi is enthusiastically greeted by the manager, Zhou Heitao. Zhou Heitao asks why he didn't call them earlier so that he could arrange for a convoy to meet him. He then hurriedly tells the employee to serve their new general manager a glass of water. The employee looks at Zhou Heitao, confused by his words, so he explains that Lin Yi is the new general manager. From now on, he will be the boss of the whole racetrack. With the new position comes lots of responsibilities, however, and Zhou Heitao grabs several stacks of paper and presents it to Lin Yi, urging him to look through his new business. But in his normal lazy fashion, Lin Yi says that he does not want to look through it. He tells Zhou Heitao that he should just operate the circuit as normal and only go to him when there is something that cannot be solved easily. Lin Yi, instead, tells him to show him around the property. The two then make their way to the racetrack where Zhou Heitao suggests to Lin Yi that he should drive around the track for 2 laps. Lin Yi thinks for a moment and decides to accept Zhou Heitao's offer, so he asks him to get someone to bring his car over. As the two walk by the side of the racetrack, 3 luxury brand cars suddenly stop beside them. Sure enough, the person who gets out is none other than Qin Han, who approaches the two with an angry look on his face. Qin Han berates Zhou Heitao for bringing someone to the racetrack even though he fully booked this place already. Joe Hateo smiles nervously and hurriedly clears up the misunderstanding by saying that Lin Yi is not a customer, but rather the new general manager of the place. This shocks everyone. They didn't expect the owner of the Shanghai International Circuit to come to the racetrack himself. Lin Yi frowns after seeing how rude Qin Han is and tells Joe Hateo to remove the strangers from the circuit so that he could run a few laps around the track. This makes Joe Hateo even more nervous and shocks Qin Han. Not wanting to go down without a fight though, he takes out a box of cigarettes and offers Lin Yi. He commends him for having the gall to kick him out and challenges him to a race. The winner continues to play in the circuit while the loser has to leave. At first, Lin Yi refuses his challenge, but as Qin Han lights both of their cigarettes, he taunts him into accepting the challenge. Qin Han then arrogantly looks around, asking if he should lend him a car if he doesn't have anything good to race with. But his taunting words die in his mouth when Lin Yi reveals that he actually owns a Pagani. Qin Han stares in shock at the car. This time it's Lin Yi's turn to taunt Qin Han, saying that his Pagani is not that expensive, but it should be better than Qin Han's own car. This upsets Qin Han, who frowns as he retorts by saying that he spent 3 million yuan on his car. There is no way he'll lose to Lin Yi in terms of performance. The two then drive their cars to the starting line where a scantily dressed girl raises a flag. The girl then counts down before yelling at them to start, and with that the two drive off. The race has started. The two race for a while until they reach the final lap. Near the last corner before the finish line, Qin Han slows down in order to turn safely. But Lin Yi has other plans in mind. Instead of slowing down, he enters the corner at high speed. Joe Hateo and the crowd watch in shock. Even professional race car drivers do not enter this corner with this speed. There is just too big of a chance that they will crash. But despite this, Lin Yi enters the corner and successfully turns, making him take the lead and win the race. Everyone gasped in astonishment. This man is insane. Even the girl from earlier cheers on. She truly admires her new boss's driving skills. With that, Lin Yi wins the bet. Qin Han exits his car and bows respectfully, having a 180-degree turn from his earlier attitude. Even he can't help but admire Lin Yi's skills in driving. Qin Han then asks Lin Yi why, despite not being modified, his car ended up being faster than his. Lin Yi proceeds to explain that it is because he didn't start the car right. According to him, the clutch timing must be 4,000 revolutions per minute, and that the best way to start is to squeeze the engine power cleanly before shifting gears. Somehow Qin Han understands these instructions and thanks him for the advice. He then asks Lin Yi if they could add each other on WeChat so that they can communicate with each other in the future. Lin Yi agrees and takes out his phone to add him. Suddenly, he gets a notification from Uber saying that there are new customers in his area. He excuses himself from the conversation by telling Joe Hateo that he needs to go to work. He bides Qin Han goodbye and tells him that the bill is on him for today. Qin Han appreciates the favor, but then curiosity gets the better of him, and he asks Lin Yi what job he has to be leaving so quickly. With a confident smile, Lin Yi proudly explains that he is an Uber driver and that he needs to take orders now to earn more money. This new information greatly shocks Qin Han. The person who owns the Shanghai International Circuit is actually just a mere Uber driver? The scene then transitions back into the Yunshi villa. Turns out his new customer is Miss G again. He calls out to Miss G, saying that her ride is here. Miss G comes out to greet him wearing a bathing suit. Lin Yi arrives so fast that she wasn't able to get ready on time. Suddenly, Lin Yi hushes her by putting his finger to her lips and says that she shouldn't speak so fast when talking to a man. Miss G somehow sees this normally rude gesture as romantic, and a rosy blush tints her face. Luckily at this point, she is used to Lin Yi's shenanigans and recovers fast, telling him to wait inside and watch movies or play games while she dries her hair. As Lin Yi sits down in front of his laptop, he notices that Miss G has received an email. He tells her about it while she dries her hair, but she reassures him that it's probably just another business document, so it should be okay to open it. But it seems she stands corrected as a beautiful woman wearing black lace appears on the laptop screen with the message 36E black lace underwear has been delivered written on it. Then, another notification pops up. This time Miss G hurriedly runs outside to try and cover the screen before more of her dark secrets get exposed. In her rush, her still wet feet slide on the floor and she ends up falling. Lin Yi sees this and tries to grab her in a panic, but ends up only grabbing her bathrobe. Luckily for Miss G, she has a great sense of balance and is able to protect herself from falling. Unluckily for her though, Lin Yi pulling at her bathrobe has loosened it. Now she stands naked in front of very flustered Lin Yi. Blood shoots out in waves out of his nose. He tried to be the gentleman but ended up becoming a pervert. Embarrassed, Miss J yells and quickly grabs her bathrobe to cover herself before returning to the bathroom. As she rushes in, Lin Yi wipes the blood off of his nose and tries to explain that it was simply spam mail, but Miss J is too embarrassed to listen. Thankfully, Miss G recovers from her embarrassment quickly, and soon she exits the bathroom wearing some very stylish clothes. She then asks Lin Yi what he thinks of her new dress. She is going to attend a reunion later, so she has to look her best. Lin Yi's face blushes after seeing her captivating beauty and tells her that her dress is enough to participate in beauty pageants. In addition, it's very suitable for doing squats. Miss Jai is surprised that Lin Yi still remembers the squats she promised him, but then reassures him that she is a woman of her word. With a big blush on her face as well, she tells Lin Yi to close the curtains for her so that she can do them. Excited, Lin Yi quickly closes the curtains and sits down, ready to watch the show. Miss Jai is speechless at just how fast he did those actions, but nonetheless proceeds to stand in front of him, ready to squat. And squat she did, her seductive body in full display as she did what she promised to do. Afterwards, she stands up, completely embarrassed by the shameful pose she had just made. She then shyly says that they should finally go to Zhongtangxi and land exchange. Lin Yi has other plans, however. The seductive sight of Miss G squatting has triggered his instincts as a man. Now that's going to be a big problem later on. He quickly excuses himself to the bathroom to relieve his desires. Half an hour later, he exits the bathroom with a refreshed smile on his face. They then finally prepare to go to Zhongtangxi and land exchange. But waiting at the entrance of the house is a surprise for them both. Turns out Miss G's father and mother are here. Lin Yi looks at the pair nervously as Miss G calls out to her parents. The two face off for a moment. An eerie silence persists for a minute until it is broken by Miss G's father smiling and asking if the two are already done with their bonding time. At first, Miss Jai is clueless. She asks her father what he means and when did they get there. Her father replies that both him and her mother were here for a while but saw that the curtains were drawn, so he didn't dare go in, lest he disturb them both. Miss G's mother laughs at seeing her daughter's shy reaction and calls her a silly girl. They are all adults after all. It wouldn't matter if they wanted to have a little alone time. They would understand. Realizing that they have a misunderstanding, Miss G hurriedly explains that she was just changing her clothes. Nothing happened between them. However, her mother is unconvinced with her lousy explanation and chalks it up to them changing clothes together. Seeing that they might disturb the embarrassed couple, Miss G's father tells his wife that they shouldn't disturb their precious time together and go out on their own little date. Before they leave though, Miss G's mother looks back and tells Lin Yi that she would not treat him like an outsider. Miss G's grandfather is going to celebrate his birthday in 2 days, and Miss G's mother invites Lin Yi to come and join the celebration. Embarrassed by the couple's overly warm reception to him, Lin Yi agrees to the invitation while Miss G's cheeks flush a deeper shade of red. With that, the couple finally leaves them alone, and now Lin Yi can finally take Miss G to her reunion. The scene then transitions to right outside Zhongtangxi and land exchange. Like a true gentleman, Lin Yi opens the door for Miss G and reminds her to text him again when she wants to be picked up, and of course to give him plenty of 5-star reviews. Miss G berates him for all his sweet words and accuses him of only saying those to get good reviews in his Uber. Lin Yi laughs and doesn't deny her words. It's his job after all. He needs all the 5-star reviews he can get. He then bides her goodbye and reminds her to text him when she wants to be fetched. Suddenly, Ling Wei appears in a cute cheerleader outfit to congratulate Lin Yi for safely driving for 100 kilometers. As a reward, he is given 200,000 proficiency points. In addition, completing the mission raises his career completion up to 55%, and he is given 21% equity on the Blazing Company, the owner of Uber in this story. Lin Yi is once again amazed with the rewards the system is giving him. For just a few rides, he already earned 21% equity of a very lucrative business. Ling Wei informs him that the Blazing Company's headquarters are situated at Yangcheng and that it has a market capitalization of 500 billion yuan. If he decides to cash out on his stake, he can earn more than 100 billion yuan. But Lin Yi has different plans. With his current income, there is no need to cash out. Instead, he can put it aside for now and earn hundreds of millions of yuan in dividends yearly. Now it's time for the real cash to start flowing in. Lin Wei then informs him that since he has now reached 55% on his career completion, he just needs another 35% to reach the amount of career completion needed to change careers. Of course, if he sticks with the career until it reaches 100% completion, there will be even more generous rewards. This new information excites Lin Yi as he pumps his hands fist in the air, ready to take more Uber orders. Looking for a new costumer, he then accepts another job within his area. Soon he starts dragging off to pick up his last costumer of the day. After taking his new costumer to their destination, Lin Yi decides to go straight home to rest for the day. The scene then shifts, and we are then introduced to a beautiful pink-haired youth named So Yang. As she checks herself out on her phone's camera, Lin Yi drives to a stop next to her. Opening the door, he then asks her if she was the Miss Hakshu who ordered for an Uber. So Yang is shocked to see such an expensive car pick her up and misunderstands that he was there to pick her up after seeing how good she looks all dressed up. But in reality, after seeing so many beauties in the past few days, Lin Yi is virtually unaffected by her charm. He simply tells her to get in and they soon drive off. Being in such a rich car makes So Yang all giddy, and she asks Lin Yi where he was taking her. This confuses Lin Yi for a moment, so he points out that she was the one that placed the order to go to the Villa Kyushu court area. Shu Yang recoils in shock. This handsome-looking rich boy is actually her Uber driver. She almost couldn't believe it. What kind of Uber would drive a sports car to do Uber orders? Her harsh tone annoys Lin Yi, but he still explains that this is simply a deluxe Uber service that she was lucky to receive. Realizing that she misunderstood the situation, her attitude has a 180-degree turn, and she swears out loud. She really thought that she attracted a rich boy that she can mooch some cash off of. Turns out she is completely wrong. The quick change of attitude from So Yang annoys Lin Yi even further, but for the sake of his mission he decides to just go along with it. As they drive by though, Halvun continues to complain, telling him to slow down so that she can stop taking such shaky pictures. Besides, she doesn't think Lin Yi can afford to pay for the damage if this luxury brand car gets scratched. Finally, Lin Yi's patience runs out and he angrily retorts that the car is actually his. So Yang laughs out loud after hearing his words. She doesn't believe that Lin Yi is the actual owner of the car. So Yang says that if this is his plan to try and get with her, then it's not gonna work. There is no way someone who owns such an expensive-looking car would work as an Uber. Exasperated by her harsh words, Lin Yi asks if he really looks like a pretender to her. In response, a haughty smirk appears on So Yang's face as she calls him a lowly part-time worker, so he should stop trying to pretend to be what he isn't. The veins on top of Lin Yi's head bulge, and he demands to know why she would look down on a part-timer like him when she is also a part-timer herself. Still beaming with pride, she responds by saying that even though she is a part-timer, she is still more noble than a mere Uber driver. Lin Yi can't even compare to the luxury brand heels she is wearing. Her harsh words are the final straw for Lin Yi. He quickly steps on the brakes and the car comes to a sudden stop. Shu Yang is thrown forward by the car's momentum and nearly smashes her head on the dashboard if it weren't for her seatbelt. Furious, she swears at Lin Yi and calls him a lunatic for stopping so suddenly. But Lin Yi simply ignores her complaint and tells her that if she feels that she is that superior, then she should go ahead and buy her own car and drive it. Pointing out the door, Lin Yi angrily tells her to get out of his car. Irritated and embarrassed, Shu Yang vows to not only give Lin Yi a bad review, but also call the company to complain about him. Lin Yi is surprised and at the same time very irritated at her response. Not only did she insult his profession, she is also giving him a bad review. He threatens back that the car has a monitor recording their entire conversation. Good luck trying to complain when Lin Yi has evidence. With that, So Yang shakes her fist at Lin Yi's Pagani as he drives off. Later, we then see Lin Yi at the Kyushu Pavilion checking his phone notifications. Sure enough, So Yang really did leave a bad review. Lin Yi comments on how strange that girl was. Not only was she overly proud, she's rude and petty too. Just then, Lin Yi suddenly receives a phone call from an unknown number. As he answers the call, his ears were immediately assaulted by a loud voice. Turns out it is his boss at Uber. Lin Yi's boss yells at him, telling him that someone called the headquarters to complain about his behavior. He threatens that if this sort of thing happens again, he will deduct some money from his security deposit. Having his pride attack like that all of a sudden, Lin Yi refuses to back down. He tells his boss to go ahead as she doesn't need the measly money in that security deposit anyway. Taken aback by his rebellious attitude, the boss threatens him again, this time with the suspension of his Uber account. Lin Yi snorts. Is he not afraid of the consequences of trying to suspend someone without proper evidence? Apparently he isn't, as his boss says that he will definitely suspend him and hangs up the call. Lin Yi looks at his phone with an exasperated expression. Having had enough for today, Lin Yi decides to tackle this issue later and instead enters the Kyushu Pavilion to take a look at his new house. Inside, he is welcomed by a man who introduces himself as Zhu Xuan, the property manager of Kyushu Villa. Zhu Xuan offers himself to be Lin Yi's personal guide to familiarize Lin Yi with the environment. Both of them then went around the house with Zhu Xuan pointing out all the features and brands the house has while Lin Yi quietly listens. Lin Yi has got to admit, this house ain't too bad. Zhu Xuan then informs him that they have screened several housekeepers for him, and those that passed the preliminary interview are in the property office now. Seeing that he still has some time left, Lin Yi decides to go on over to the property office and take a look at his possible future housekeeper. In the office though, he bumps into a very familiar face. It's Su Yang, the rude girl that gave him the bad review earlier. Su Yang also cannot believe what she is seeing. It's the Uber driver she met earlier. Seeing her rude behavior, Zhu Xuan breaks out into a cold sweat. He scolds Su Yang for yelling at Lin Yi. Still not realizing the gravity of the situation, Su Yang tells Zhu Xuan that Lin Yi is the brain-dead Uber driver that drove for her a while ago. Lin Yi's eyes squint with irritation and he asks Zhu Xuan if this woman is here to apply for the housekeeper job. Heeding his words of discontent and still not being able to read the room, Su Yang points at Lin Yi accusing and tells him to leave. A mere Uber driver doesn't belong to the Kyushu Villa. Having had enough of Su Yang's rudeness, Zhu Xuan steps up and slaps the ever-living heck out of Su Yang. He berates her for talking so rudely to Lin Yi despite him being the owner of the Kyushu residence. Su Yang caresses the part where she was hit but couldn't believe Zhu Xuan, who turns out to be her cousin, would hit her for that Lin Yi guy. He's just an Uber driver after all. She even had the order from him on her phone to prove it. Lin Yi then asks if drivers are not allowed to buy a villa from Kyushu Court. Zhu Xuan smiles nervously and reassures him that there are no such restrictions. He then turns his attention to Su Yang and demands her to apologize to Lin Yi. Finally, Su Yang realizes that Lin Yi might actually be someone very rich. With the way her cousin is treating him, he may as well be the owner of the residence. Su Yang apologizes profusely and begs Lin Yi for another chance. However, Lin Yi has made up his mind already to not take her as a housekeeper. He comments on her bad breath and orders for her to be thrown out of the house. The other employees then grab a kicking and screaming Su Yang as she is escorted out of the premises. With the nuisance finally gone, Zhou Xian redirects Lin Yi's attention back to the rest of the housekeepers. Lin Yi scans over the row of possible candidates for a moment before telling Zhou Xian that he is not satisfied with any of the people he chose. He reimburses them for their travel expenses by giving them 5,000 yuan each and sends them off on their way. Just then, his phone rings. It is a text coming from Miss Ji asking him to pick her up from Zhongting Sea and Land Exchange. He excuses himself and tells Zhu Xian to pick more housekeepers. Meanwhile, at the Zhongting Sea and Land Exchange, Miss Ji can be seen changed in a different dress and talking to one of her friends. The woman begs her not to go yet. For her, it's still very early for Miss Ji to go home. They should hang out more and have a little fun. Another old friend of Miss Ji introduced as Ding Yi agrees with Miss Ji's friend and offers to drive her home later. Miss Ji says that she is flattered but she has work to take care of. Besides, she already called an Uber to come pick her up. Hearing this, Miss Ji's friend urges her not to go as going somewhere with Uber is not that safe nowadays. It's better to let Ding Yi drive her back home. Although the concern is understandable, Miss Ji reassures her friend that she'll be fine by saying that the Uber driver is a friend of hers. Speaking of the devil, Lin Yi arrives just as they were talking about him. Miss Ji calls out to Lin Yi, surprising her two friends. Miss Ji's friend comments on how handsome Lin Yi is and says that he is definitely suitable enough to drive her home. However, there is someone else who seems to disagree. Jealous of the attention Lin Yi is getting, Ding Yi says that handsomeness does not matter because he is just a measly little Uber driver. Hearing his provoking words, Lin Yi claps back by asking him what is wrong with being a simple Uber driver. Ding Yi laughs and says that nothing is wrong, it is just that he is pretty lucky to be able to know Miss Ji. His words confuse Ding Yi, so Lin Yi asks how he is lucky to know Miss Ji. Surprised he even had to ask, Ding Yi looks at Miss Ji and comments on how Lin Yi is not very clear-headed. Not only that, he also has a strong sense of superiority. Miss Ji steps up to defend Lin Yi, saying that he really has the right to feel superior. This makes both Miss Ji's friend and Ding Yi laugh. Miss Ji's friend doesn't believe Miss Ji, saying that Ding Yi has just bought a top-of-the-line Mercedes-Benz Class G. With his small salary as an Uber driver, he probably wouldn't be able to afford it even if he saved up for it his entire lifetime. Hearing her friend's snobbish words, Miss Ji becomes speechless. She turns away and reassures Lin Yi that they are just being mean because they have had too much to drink. Seeing Miss Ji protect a mere Uber driver makes Ding Yi even more jealous. He inwardly thinks that he should crush this Lin Yi with his superior financial power. So like annoying busybodies, the two follow Lin Yi and Miss Ji all the way to the parking lot. Once there, Ding Yi takes out some car keys and presses the button. Instantly, a Mercedes-Benz Class G nearby lights up. Miss Ji's friend's eyes sparkle and wonder after laying her eyes on the car, and she asks Ding Yi if the car was expensive. Ding Yi smiles proudly and proclaims that it was not that expensive, only 200 million yuan. He even dreams of buying a Lamborghini when he becomes richer in the future. Miss Ji remains speechless for a moment after hearing Ding Yi brag about his car before asking him if he remembers him saying that his dream car was a Pagani Windchild back in college. Ding Yi embarrassingly scratches his head after being reminded of his delusions as a college student. The Pagani Windchild's price is in the billions of yuan. He would probably never be able to afford one in his lifetime. Just then, Miss Ji's friend gasps in astonishment. Pointing out what she found, Ding Yi comes face to face with a real Pagani Windchild. Ding Yi also gasps in shock. It really is the car of his dreams. Suddenly, Lin Yi's voice breaks his concentration, telling him to move out of the way once he is done admiring the vehicle. Thinking that Lin Yi just wants to take a look at the expensive sports car, Ding Yi obliges and makes way for him while telling him to not blink his eyes. It is probably the only time someone like him can see something this expensive. However, it seems that Ding Yi's assumption is wrong as Lin Yi pulls out his car keys and presses the button to allow the Pagani to flash its lights. Then, like a true gentleman, he opens the door for Miss Ji and tells her to come inside. Both Ding Yi and Miss Ji's friend cannot believe what they are seeing. A simple Uber driver owns such an expensive car. Impossible. But reality seems to differ. Before leaving, Lin Yi takes one more look at the two and tells them to not let their poverty cloud their judgment again. Then, like an absolute savage, Lin Yi drives off. The scene then cuts to later at night. Miss Ji apologizes to Lin Yi for her friend's snobbish behavior. Lin Yi reassures her that he doesn't mind at all though and asks if she wants to go home already. Miss Ji thinks for a moment before deciding that she wants to go to the beach instead. She drank a little wine during the reunion, so she thinks that a nice walk on the beach would let her sober up. She then picks up her phone and changes the drop-off location. As they drive to the beach, Lin Yi gets another notification from the system, informing him of his progress in his current mission. Right now, he has 6 out of 10 5-star reviews. Counting the one he is on, he only needs 3 more rides to complete his mission and receive 100,000 proficiency points. Soon, the pair arrives at the beach. Miss Ji then tells Lin Yi to turn his head away. Seeing his chance to become cheeky, he asks Miss Ji if she is going to change into her swimsuit. Miss Ji blushes before explaining that she only wants to take off her stockings. Feeling a little mischievous, Lin Yi teases her for wanting him to turn his head around. This earns him a pinch on his side, which makes him wince in pain, so he decides to behave for once while she takes off her stockings. She then invites Lin Yi out to walk with her on the beach. As the two walk, Miss Ji reminds him about her grandfather's birthday party. Since her parents insist, she will have to go there with him, so she formally invites him to come with her. Seeing another opportunity to tease her, Lin Yi then cheekily asks if he can pretend to be her boyfriend. This makes Miss Ji blush and Lin Yi laughs at her reaction. But to her back for doing those squats from earlier, Lin Yi decides to accept the invitation. Miss Ji sighs in relief. Lin Yi may like to tease a lot, but at least he has a conscience. The pair then continues their walk until Miss Ji notices and points out that the lights of the Kyushu residence are on. She comments on how the Kyushu residence has not been sold yet due to their extremely high price, so there is usually nobody inside. This is probably the first time Miss Ji has seen the lights in Kyushu residence be on. Hearing this, Lin Yi then offers to drive a little closer to show her around the place. If she likes even, she can even sleep there tonight. Miss G chuckles and says that it would be a dream come true if she is able to sleep overnight inside the Kyushu residence. Lin Yi smiles as an idea forms in his head. He takes Miss G's hand and says that he would like to show her more. The scene then cuts to the two exiting the car as they arrive in front of the entrance to the Kyushu villa. Miss G then tells Lin Yi about how she participated in the bidding of the land, but she wasn't able to buy it because of insufficient funds. Lin Yi then says that at least she is the female CEO of her own company, so she doesn't need to look at the gate with such envy. Embarrassed by Lin Yi's constant teasing, Miss G denies being envious of the land. Instead, she is just curious as she heard that the pool inside the house is filled with mineral water. Suddenly, she feels another person's hand in hers as Lin Yi holds her hand and tells her that he'll take her on a ride around the premises. Worried, Miss G warns Lin Yi that he cannot just waltz on in there. Things will turn ugly if they were to be caught. Seeing Miss G's doubt, Lin Yi feels that this is a great time to issue a challenge towards her and asks Miss G what she would do if he really was able to get them inside. Apparently not learning from her previous bet, she says that she will wear a bikini and let him feast his eyes on her with the bikini on. This was enough to get our protagonist's heart jumping as he tells Miss G to get inside. At first, she thought that Lin Yi was just bluffing, but seeing as how he is ushering him to the car, then he might actually be serious. But contrary to her expectations, all the security guards of the Kyushu residence bow toward the Pagani as it passes by instead of stopping them. She wonders what's going on. Supposedly, the Kyushu residence's security is of the highest level in the city, yet they allowed Lin Yi inside with no problem. They soon come to a stop at an orchard and both step out of the car. Miss G looks around in wonder at seeing so many trees that bear fruit. Lin Yi asks if she wanted him to pick some for her, but Miss G refuses adamantly, thinking that it would be stealing. Then Miss G's eyes become drawn to something else. Right next to the orchard is the swimming pool filled with mineral water that they talked about earlier. Lin Yi puts his arms around her and tells her that it is already time to keep her promise. Miss G blushes a deep shade of red as she admits that she doesn't have a bikini so she can't swim. She asks to talk about it later instead. The sight of such a beauty blushing very hard makes Lin Yi also blush as he becomes speechless from her beauty. Lin Yi caves to her request, but he reminds her that she definitely cannot go back on her word. Miss G reassures him that she won't forget her promise and tells him that they need to get out of there already. However, Lin Yi still has more plans as he points at the house and asks her if she wants to enter. Miss G laughs nervously and tells him that it is already his lucky break that he was allowed inside. Barging into a home will get him arrested for trespassing. Lin Yi reassures her that there is no one inside the villa, so there is nothing to be afraid of. But as soon as his hand touches the door, a scanner scans his hand and a robotic voice welcomes him home, exposing his lie. The blush on Miss G's face turns from light pink to scarlet in embarrassment as she realizes she's been tricked. Realizing that the jig is up, Lin Yi laughs and formally invites her inside his house that he just bought yesterday. Miss G angrily hits him on the back, upset that he actually fooled her. Luckily, the spacious and beautiful interior instantly takes her attention away from our cheeky protagonist. She praises the beauty of the house and then she asks Lin Yi how much he spent on the villa. Lin Yi replies that he isn't sure of the details, but he knows that he spent a few billion on the house. Hearing this, Miss G accuses him of trying to fool her again, as she knows that the pavilion's most expensive villa only costs 1.2 billion yuan. Unless he bought the entire Kyushu pavilion, there is no way that Lin Yi actually spent a few billion in buying the place. But as Lin Yi sits down on the couch, he reveals that he has indeed bought the entire Kyushu pavilion. Miss Jai is shocked at this revelation and asks him where did he get all that money from, the wind? In response to the question, Lin Yi thinks of Ling Wei and the system, and says that for him, earning money is even easier than just picking it all up from a strong wind. Miss G sits down on the couch as well, making a mental note of how comfy it is, and says that no wonder he wanted to do Uber just to experience life. For him, money comes easy. Lin Yi then tells Miss G that he will not send her away for the night. Instead, she can crash at his place for the night. Miss G thankfully accepts his proposition as Lin Yi also drives her to work the next day. Then, another blush appears on Miss G's face as she shyly asks him if he has any pajamas for ladies. Lin Yi explains that he lives alone, so there are no pajamas for women with him. He then jokingly suggests that she would just sleep naked. It's good for the skin, and he promises not to peek. This flusters Miss Jai even more, who asks how she can possibly sleep naked in someone else's home. A laughing Lin Yi finally stops with his teasing and tells her that he will find a pair of his own pajamas for her to wear. We then cut to a spicy scene of Miss Ji inside the shower and taking a bath. Outside, Lin Yi is peacefully reading a book. Suddenly, a loud noise interrupts his reading. Worried, Lin Yi calls out to Miss Ji. She replies back a while later, asking Lin Yi for help because she fell down. Lin Yi immediately rushes in, only to be greeted by the sight of a completely unharmed Miss Ji wearing nothing but a towel on. With her face painted by a light blush, Miss J insists that her ankle is broken, so Lin Yi has to come on over and help her take a bath. Blushing as well, Lin Yi helps her up. The pair look deeply into each other's eyes before sharing a deep and passionate kiss. And as the shower head continues to spray at their backs, the two made love in the shower. We then cut to the next day where we see a few birds chirping above the trees. Miss Ji opens up the windows and takes the bedsheets right off of Lin Yi's bed, calling him a lazy pig and tells him to get up already before she becomes late for work. Lin Yi yawns and begrudgingly sits up, replying that it is hard for him to meet with her at night and wake up early in the morning to go to work. However, he perks right up when Miss Ji promises him more 5-star reviews. The scene then transitions to the Peninsula Hotel where Lin Yi decides to have his breakfast after sending Miss Ji to her work. At the entrance, Wang Tianlong bows to him as he walks inside the hotel. He then offers to tell the back kitchen to prepare him a personal meal. But Lin Yi refuses, saying that he wants to keep a low profile and eat at the restaurant inside by himself. Inside the restaurant, Lin Yi takes a menu and prepares to give his order when he recognizes a familiar face. The waitress serving him is actually Lily Yu, his old boss back at the company. In a strange turn of fate, she ends up working for the Peninsula after she was fired from the company. Lily Yu gives Lin Yi an arrogant smirk, saying that she did not expect to run into some scum of the earth like him. She is still not over being fired from Miss Ji's company and believes that it has something to do with Lin Yi. In anger, Lin Yi puts down the menu and scolds her for insulting a customer. Seeing him retaliate makes Lily Yu even angrier, as she doesn't believe that he has the qualifications to be a guest of the Peninsula. He is simply a rich woman's boy toy. One employee meekly tries to butt in, saying that she shouldn't be saying such things about a customer. However, Lily Yu does not listen. Her pride prevents her from serving someone who, in her mind, hugged the thigh of some female CEO and climbed up the ladder that way. She completely believes that Lin Yi is only here due to all the sugar mama money he is receiving from Miss Ji. But Lin Yi isn't about to give her the satisfaction of seeing him frustrated. Instead, he tells the other waitress to get Wang Tianlong for him. Even though he knows their general manager by name, Lily Yu insists that he just learned it from the news. There is no way the manager of such a premium estate knows a low-end person like Lin Yi. Although her attitude angers Lin Yi, he doesn't have the energy to take care of her. Instead, he offers to let bygones be bygones since they were former colleagues. A sudden commotion then attracts both their attention, and they turn around to see an angry manager Wang storming over. Thinking that he came here to kick Lin Yi out, she complains to him that a poor man is trying to cause trouble inside the Peninsula. But instead of getting angry at Lin Yi, Manager Wang points at Lily Yu accusingly and says that she's blind as she's the one that's actually causing trouble. He then informs Lily Yu that Lin Yi is actually the owner of the hotel, so if she wants to kick Lin Yi out, then she will be kicked out herself. Lily Yu gasps in shock. Turns out her former subordinate is now the owner of one of the most expensive hotels in China. It's just too hard to believe, and even thinks that Lin Yi cheated Manager Wang somehow. Manager Wang gets even more irritated by her baseless accusations and accuses her of being the liar instead. Manager Wang wonders how Lily Yu even went past the interview section with such a rude mouth. So for insulting Lin Yi, Manager Wang decides to blacklist her from the company. Let's see if any other company will be willing to hire her from now on. And with another command, the security guards grab her by the hands and start escorting her outside. Realizing that she might actually be doing a mistake, Lily Yu frantically tries to apologize for her actions, but it's too late. Her cries and pleas falls on deaf ears as she is taken outside the hotel. With the pesky waitress gone, Manager Wang turns to Lin Yi and apologizes for the disturbance to his meal. Lin Yi replies that it is fine as long as next time they will do a more complete background check to make sure that the person's personality is actually good. He then tells them to hurry up and serve his food, so Manager Wang obliges and informs the back kitchen to start cooking for Lin Yi. Soon the food arrives and Lin Yi starts digging in. In the middle of him eating though, Lin Yi receives a call from an unknown number. Once he answers it, He is greeted by the sound of a woman's voice introducing herself as Tian Yan, the vice president of Uber. She informs him that she would like to meet with him personally to discuss a few matters. Lin Yi says that he has work in the morning, so he tells her that he'll contact her in the afternoon instead. Tian Yan agrees and promises to call later. In her office, Tian Yan's assistant, Xiao Yan, asks how it went with Lin Yi. Tian Yu informs her that he didn't agree to meet in the morning and instead, they will meet in the afternoon. It works out well for them nonetheless, as Tian Yu needs to go meet with the Jerez company in the morning. Hearing this, Xiao Yan prepares to call an Uber over to pick her up. Meanwhile, Lin Yi can be seen flaunting his looks by himself at the park. He checks out his phone and learns of someone very close by asking for an Uber from the Peninsula Hotel to the Jerez company headquarters. Feeling that it would be a shame for him not to take a job that's already that close by, he accepts the order and starts driving back to the Peninsula Hotel. Soon, Tian Yu and Xiao Yan can be seen exiting the Peninsula Hotel where they meet Lin Yi. Lin Yi smiles and flashes them both a confident smile as he asks if she was the one who placed an order for him. The two women blush, not expecting their Uber driver to be so handsome, before Tian Yu regains her wits and answers yes, she did order for him. With her confirmation, Lin Yi steps back and shows off his Pagani Windchild while saying that her ride has appeared. The two look in awe at the expensive sports car. They don't recall her company being rich enough to rent a Pagani Windchild for personal use. Lin Yi reassures her though that he truly is an Uber driver and opens the door for her like a true gentleman. Although she still finds it strange that such a rich man is willingly working as an Uber driver, she still accepts his offer and gets inside the car. Tan told Lin that any girl would say he looked attractive when he got into his car. Lin asked if there was a rule that said he couldn't run blah blah if he drove a sports car. Tan warned Lin to watch his words and threatened to suspend him. Lin asked if she had the authority to do that. She showed him her card and told him that she was the vice president of blah blah. Lin informed her that he was also a shareholder and reminded her that she had called him earlier to arrange a meeting. She believed him and apologized. When they reached their destination, she tried to pay, but her payment was declined. Lin saw a notification that the Jellux Corporation had suspended him. Tian offered to talk to them, but Lin insisted on going in with her. They entered the conference room and Lin explained his problem. Jellux president Wenda Lu instructed the operations manager, Yuanfa, to handle it. Yuanfa scolded Lin and told him to leave before he called security. Lin told Tian to take care of it while he sat down. Tian announced that she was the vice president of blah blah, and that Jellux was exempt from operating for suspending a driver without proper investigation. She also informed them that Lin was a shareholder of blah blah. When Wenda Lu told Lu Yuanfa to apologize, Lin said he approved of Tian's resolution and disqualified their operation. Then Qin Yan called Lin to take her to the mall to shop for the birthday party. Tian told Lin that she had taken care of everything and added new features to it. Lin asked Tian if she knew a place that sold better antique paintings. Tian said she would have her assistant pick up a painting at Zhangdaqian and told him not to worry about the money. Lin asked her to send it to the manager at the peninsula, and because he didn't like owing people favors, he offered 1% equity for the painting. As he was about to leave, Tan mentioned that their president wanted to invite Lin to be a guest in Yangsheng. He agreed. Then he received another order from King Star to Goat Island Hotel. He drove Yang Tian-sin, who was talking to her boyfriend about the underwear she had bought. She told Lin that the company must be quite good to come up with such marketing techniques. Lin explained that it wasn't the company's idea, but his own. He dropped her off at the Peninsula Hotel, and she gave him a 1-star review. Then he went to the mall with Qin Yan. He confronted her, saying that she hadn't given him a 5-star review yet. She told him that it would depend on his behavior. Then he reminded her about the promise, so they went to stores looking for bikinis. At the first store, Qin saw that they didn't have her size, so she told Lin, and they went to another store. Lin chose a black, revealing bikini for her to wear when she was swimming in front of him, and Qin chose a less revealing bikini. He told her that she would wear it when she went out to have fun with her friends. They went to the 4th floor to look for outfits. While she was trying on a dress, she called Lin to help her with the zipper. Lin told Qin that the dress was beautiful. Meanwhile, a lady with Mr. Zhang liked the same dress and told him that she wanted one. The shopkeeper informed her that there was only one custom model available, so they could look for other styles. Mr. Zhang insisted that Qin take off the dress, and he offered to pay an extra 20,000. However, Lin told the shopkeeper that he would add 200,000. Mr. Zhang was shocked and left the dress for Qin. She whispered to Lin that she would give him a special look for standing up for her, and then Lin bought a suit. They went back to the villa's pool. Qin wore a black bikini, while Lin wore his boxers, showing off his abs. Lin carried Qin and jumped into the pool. She told him not to let go of her because she couldn't swim. Lin said he would teach her. He taught her until she was floating on her own, but then she suddenly couldn't keep herself from drowning and went under the water. Lin swam towards her and pulled her out, then he kissed her. They flirted in the pool before going inside the villa. While Qin was taking a shower, Lin borrowed her phone. Then the system lady informed him that, for completing the mission, he was rewarded with 100,000 proficiency points, Wangjiang Pier, and a career completion increase of 75%. Qin got out of the shower and sat on the bed next to Lin. Lin told her his story, that he was an orphan and had been raised by others. After that, they went to bed. While he was sleeping, his phone rang. Wang Mei called and said that Sizzy wanted her to talk to him about their relationship. Lin told her that he would never get back with Sizzy again. Wang Mei then suggested that he meet her friend's daughter, Song Wei Hui, at Tianyu tea house the next day. The following day, Lin went to the tea house to meet Song Wei Hui, but found her entire family waiting for him. Song's mother asked about his job at the real estate company, and he told them that he had been fired. She then asked what he did for a living, and he explained that he was a blabla driver and could barely make ends meet. Song's mother told him that if he wanted to marry her daughter, he needed to buy a suite in Shanghai and pay a bride price of 888,000. Lin said it was too much. Then Song's brother asked Lin to buy a 500,000 imported car. When Lin said he couldn't afford all that, they mentioned that once the orphanage was moved and the land was sold, he would have enough money. Lin got angry and poured tea on Song's brother. He then walked out and went to the parking lot. Song's brother threw a potted plant at Lin, but Lin dodged it, and it scratched his car. When they saw the damage to the Pagani windshield, they asked him how they could compensate him. They went to the parking lot to see the car. Mei tried to apologize in place of her brother while offering herself, but Lin told them that if they didn't send 2,000 million within a week, they would receive a court summons. Then Lin went to Wanjiang port and found a girl offering herself to manager Miao Changyu of terminal operations to compensate for breaking a boat's chair. When Lin confronted them, Changyu told Lin that he was the manager and decided whether to pay or not. Lin told him that he would pay if the girl left without paying. Then he entered the building, and the secretary took him to the conference room. Manager Bai Song John welcomed Lin. Lin said he didn't think everyone was present, so they would wait. The manager sent Xiao to call Miao Changyu, who entered the room while buttoning his shirt. When Lin spoke to him, he knelt down, apologizing, saying he didn't know that Lin was the new chairman. Lin told manager Bai to kick him out. In the meeting, Lin talked about upgrading the pier and increasing their salaries. After that, he received a call about a painting and told them to deliver it to East Lake Villa. When they entered the villa, Shen instantly attracted people's attention with her beauty. They went straight to her grandfather. Mr. Ji tried to get Qin to introduce her boyfriend, but Qin's cousin, Tian Xin, recognized Lin as the blabla driver and told the family members. Her parents were confused. Qin tried to explain to them that he drove for fun. Mr. Ji was about to chase him out when the shopkeepers delivered the 175th anniversary watch he had purchased. They were surprised that a blabla driver could afford that kind of watch. Mr. Ji told Tian Xin to apologize for misunderstanding Lin. Tian's mom told Qin Yan that the boy would dump her soon even though he's rich. She said he didn't care because he did not buy a present for Mr. Ji, but her daughter's fiancé had bought a gift. Qin then took the gift she had prepared for her grandpa and tried to give it to him, saying it was from Lin. However, Lin told her that she shouldn't help him by giving the gift she had bought for Mr. Ji, saying it was from him. He informed her that he had already gotten a gift ready, and he gave the painting to Mr. Ji. When Mr. Ji saw it was Zhang Daishan's peach garden painting, he was surprised. Tian's fiancé, Fu Zhang, mentioned that the painting might be fake because Mr. Chang Xuan, its owner, was their president and never wanted to sell it. Lin recalled that Fu Zhang claimed to be the boss of blabla, so he informed him that he was no longer allowed to run things. Zhang had questioned Lin's nonsensical talk. Lin, in response, stated that he had shares in blabla and advised Zhang to verify it by contacting Chang. Zhang made the call, putting it on speaker. He inquired about Lin Yi, and the company president affirmed Lin's claim, warning Zhang that disrespecting Lin would lead to disqualification. Additionally, the president mentioned giving a painting to Lin. Overwhelmed, Zhang dropped his phone and began apologizing. Lin canceled his plans and demanded compensation for the damaged painting, as Zhang had mistakenly torn it, believing it to be a forgery. Desperate, Zhang pleaded with Tian for assistance, but she dismissed him. Lin advised Zhang to move on, stating that someone like Tian wasn't worth his efforts. Afterwards, Lin expressed his desire to have a private conversation with Chin's father. They all met up in a room where Lin informed everyone that he had taken Tian Xin to the Peninsula Hotel. He had a bag filled with provocative items to engage in a role-play scenario with 2 other men. Tian Xin denied the accusations, but Lin showed a video to Chin as evidence. Upon seeing the video, Mr. G reacted by slapping Tian Xin. Despite her mother's attempt to intervene, Chin's father prevented her, preferring not to get involved in family matters. He announced his departure from the situation. Chin escorted Lin out and expressed gratitude for an expensive painting he had given her. Lin mentioned that she should place future orders before leaving himself. Lin had received an order. Meanwhile, Mu Rai had been trying to convince Yuan Yue to ride to school with him in his new BMW, but she had told him she wasn't interested. Just then, Lin arrived and instructed her to hop into the car. She questioned Lin about why he operated blah blah while driving a sports car. Lin explained to her that the type of car didn't matter. What counted was earning money through one's own efforts. Upon reaching their destination, she requested to add him on VX. When he inquired why, she queried if he believed in love at first sight. He responded by telling her that she was naive and advised her not to casually throw around such sentiments to people. He then departed and received a call from Mai. Lin asked if she was calling about the compensation money. Mai informed him that her family had been testing him the other day, and he had passed, so they were now officially a couple. Lin was heading to Shanghai when he encountered Xiao Yu. He invited her into the car and inquired if she was headed to Shanghai International Circuit. Xiao replied affirmatively, mentioning she was going there for a live broadcast due to an event happening there. Upon arrival, they stumbled upon Ren Zixuan and Sun Ru, well-known anchors, engaged in a heated argument. Xiao inquired about the situation. Ru clarified that Ren was attempting to oust them so she could handle the live broadcast alone. Ren claimed that the track owner stipulated only 1 anchor was necessary. The dispute persisted, prompting Lin to advise Ru and Xiao to accompany him elsewhere. Ren warned Lin that meddling with Qin Han would have dire consequences. They accompanied Lin to the track race. Upon spotting the fancy cars, Ru inquired if they were really set for a live broadcast. Lin assured them and instructed them to get their gear ready. Meanwhile, Ren informed Qin and manager Zhu about Xiao and Ru's intrusion, particularly emphasizing the one leading the pack. Gesturing toward Lin, she labeled him as eccentric. However, her tone changed as she witnessed Zhao's respectful nod to Lin and Qin calling out his name. Puzzled, she questioned their familiarity with Lin. Qin clarified that Lin was the proprietor of Shanghai Circuit. Lin had told Qin that his friend insulted him. Qin turned to Ren and told her to leave. Ren begged to stay and do the broadcasting, but they called security to remove her. Then Qin Han challenged Lin to a race, boasting about his improved cornering skills. Lin agreed. As the race was about to start, Qin proposed a bet. The loser would pay the winner. The race began, and Lin emerged victorious. Qin handed over 210 million. Lin passed the money to the manager, instructing him to fix a scratch on his Pagani. Qin Han was shocked at the amount Lin was spending on car repairs. Lin informed Xiao that he was leaving and to seek manager Zhou if they needed anything. Despite having 3 new orders, Lin decided to grab lunch first. He arrived just as Aunt Liu was closing to fetch Xiao Jing from school. Lin promised to pick her up before eating and left after specifying his meal preferences. When Lin entered Xiao Jing's class, he found a lady yelling at Xiao's teacher for not stopping Xiao Jing from scratching her son's face. She claimed it would delay his career because he wanted to enter the entertainment industry. Lin told the boy that he was overthinking it if he thought he could enter the entertainment industry with his face. When Xiao saw Lin, she approached him and Lin asked her what had happened. She explained and also showed Lin her torn clothes. Lin told the lady that it was her son's fault, so they didn't want to be the first to sue. She warned Lin to watch his words and said that even if they paid the compensation, the issue wouldn't be over. Xiao mentioned to the lady that her son had bullied her first. The lady responded by saying a poor girl like Xiao just had to endure bullying. Lin slapped the lady, who then called her husband, a human resources manager at Zhonghan Capital. He barged into the classroom, and his son told him that Lin had slapped his mom. Lee Duwine demanded that Lin apologize to his wife before he called his boss, Chin Han. Unaware that Lin knew Chin Han, Duwine called Han and explained the situation. Chin Han then called Duwine back, telling him he was fired. When Lin and Xiao arrived at Aunt Liu's restaurant, he instructed Xiao not to tell her mom what had happened at school. Lin went to Chin Yan's office and gave her the food he had bought from Aunt Liu's, telling her it was the best egg fried rice. Yan opened the lid and asked Lin if it was from Aunt Liu's. Lin confirmed that it was and suggested she eat it before it got cold. She asked Lin to feed her, and while he was doing so, Chin Han called Lin. Chin Han said he had found some attractive girls and invited Lin to join him for some fun. Lin replied that he couldn't join because the girl next to him was far more beautiful than the ones with Chin Han. Yan blushed when she heard what Lin said. Chin Han asked Lin to take a picture and send it to him so he could see if the girl was truly more beautiful. If she was, he would do something outrageous. Lin asked Yan if they could take a selfie. She asked why he wanted to take a picture all of a sudden. Lin told her that he wanted to show someone what real beauty looked like using her picture. Lin had sent the selfie, and Chin Han had texted him, saying that the girl looked very good looking. Then they went to the car, and Lin asked Yan to explain the steps for setting up a charitable foundation. She mentioned that running such an organization wasn't easy. He replied that he didn't care and just wanted to do as much as he could on his own. She said she would ask around for him. When they reached her place, he asked if she could go with him to Yangcheng if she was free. She said it would depend on her availability. Then she gave Lin a 5-star review. The system lady informed Lin that he had completed the mission and could start a new career. His new career was as a college physical education teacher, and he received a potion and sage wisdom. Lin drank the attribute increase potion, and his body changed. While lying in bed, his phone rang, and he was told that the Pagani's engineer had already been contacted. Chin Yan had bought a first-class ticket for Lin and informed him that she wouldn't be able to escort him. She asked for the name of the orphanage where he would be staying, and Lin told her it was Blue Sky. On the plane, Xingyin Feng and Li Yu Yang were talking about how it was rare to see a handsome young man in first class. Feng Huiyu commented that they would soon realize that good looks were common, but a wealthy young man was one in a million. Lin looked at Huiyu and told him that if he wanted to act tough, he should do it on his own and not involve him. Huiyu sat in the seat next to Lin and challenged him to ask the stewardess for her WeChat. Huiyu claimed that if she chose him, it would prove that money was more important than looks. Huiyu spoke to the stewardess and showed off his watch. However, the stewardess noticed Lin's anniversary model and immediately asked for Lin's WeChat instead. Then Yan entered the scene. Huiyu saw her and told Lin that if he lost again, he would accept defeat. While Huiyu was asking for her WeChat, Lin held Yan by the waist and placed her on his lap. Huiyu called Lin a scum for putting his arms around a woman he didn't even know. Lin told him that it was called love at first sight and that it was headed for marriage. They arrived at the orphanage, and the kids ran to them. Chin gave the kids the gifts she had bought and introduced herself to Wang Quping and Zhao. Quping sent Zhao to share the gifts with the kids. Zhao saw that Ningyu had arrived with her boyfriend, so he called Quping to come and see. Yan asked Lin who Ning was, and he told her that Ning's full name was Gu Ningyu. Ning had left the orphanage and gone to a college in Yangcheng. The kids ran to King and started touching Wang Teo's car. He yelled at the kids, telling them not to make it dirty because he would have to pay a lot of money to get it repainted. Ningyu excitedly introduced herself to Chin Yan. Wang Tao tried to shake Chin Han's hand while introducing himself, but Lin slapped his hand, making Tao furious. Wanting to humiliate Lin, he told Wang Quping that he would donate 100,000 yuan to the orphanage, but she rejected his offer. Lin, however, told her to accept it. Then Tao told Lin to donate, and Lin responded that he would donate 100 million yuan. Tao laughed and said that if an online car driver like Lin donated 100 million yuan, he would donate 10 times more. Lin donated the money, and when Tao saw the notification on Quping's phone, he was shocked. Lin asked Tao when he would donate, but Tao got in his car and drove off, leaving Ningyu behind. As they were eating, Chin asked Lin to escort her to the Yanqing branch to check out some accounting problems. They went to the Xiaoyang Group's Yanqing branch, and Vice President Wang Jingyi was surprised to see Chin. She told him to bring the year's accounts to the conference room. While looking at the files, she saw that there was a discrepancy of over 30 million. She asked where Jingyi went and said she wanted to call the police. Suddenly, 3 men barged into the office. One of them said Zheng Yi owed them 1,000,000 yuan and that if she was willing to stay with him for one night, he would let it go. Lin told them that he knew they were sent by Zheng Yi to delay them from calling the police. Then he offered them 2,000,000 yuan to help send Zheng Yi to the police. Lin drove Qin to the police station and told her that the matter couldn't be made public because the Sunrise Group's market value could drop significantly. Then he told her to go in while he went after Zheng Yi. She told him it was too dangerous and that she couldn't let him go. After much persuasion, she allowed Lin to leave. 3 hours later, Lin returned with Zheng Yi, accompanied by the police. When Zheng Yi spotted Qin, he began begging her not to take legal action against him and vowed to return all the money he owed. She advised him to await legal consequences. Once they concluded, they bid farewell to the orphanage and headed back to Shanghai. At Yanshu Villa, Qin offered to cook for Lin as a gesture of gratitude. After dinner, they retired for the night. The following morning, Lin awoke to find Qin Han absent from his side. He presumed she had left for the office early. Soon after, the HR manager from Shanghai University phoned him, informing him he could commence work the next day. Qin Yan put up a nice suit and went to Shanghai University. He received a call from Lin requesting a ride, but Lin explained he couldn't leave early because of his commitment as a university teacher on the first day. In the office, Lin introduced himself to Li Xingbang. Suj, the director of learning and teaching, tasked Lin with reaching out to senior hospitality graduates for internships. The internships must have a salary below 3,000 and include room and board. Once Lin completed this task, he would be assigned a class. Lin was then shown to his workstation. He promptly contacted Wang Tiang, requesting his presence at the school. Within half an hour, Tiang arrived, and Lin introduced him to the director as the intern. Impressed, the director instructed Lin to arrange a class schedule for Wang Tiang. Lin was on his way to Wanjiang Terminal when a lady almost ran him over with her car. Startled, Lin quickly jumped out of harm's way. The lady, named Xu Chanshin, shouted at him, accusing him of being careless and warning him not to touch her car. Lin calmly explained that he hadn't touched her car at all. Xu Chanshin parked her car nearby and stepped out, continuing to criticize Lin. She boasted about her expensive car, worth over 1,000,000, and threatened Lin with financial consequences if he dared to damage it. Lin, unfazed, mentioned that he owned a Pagani himself but didn't behave in such a manner. Xu Chanshin scoffed at Lin, calling him names and dismissing his claim. Later, Xu Chanshin entered the office's meeting room, where she was greeted by the design director, Quan Ya. As they conversed, Lin entered the room and noticed Xu Chanshin. Curious, he asked Quan if Xu Chanshin was an employee of the company. Quan clarified that she was a renowned designer associated with the company. Lin, however, abruptly told Xu Chanshin to leave, asserting that she was no longer needed. Despite Xu Chanshin's pleas for forgiveness, Lin remained firm in his decision, unmoved by her apologies. After she left, during the meeting, they talked about making the company the top industry player for the next decade. The meeting wrapped up with the director of Tongxin Research Institute informing Lin that they had taken over the Tongxin Research Institute, and Lin confirming he'd be present the next day at 1 p.m. The following morning, Lin headed to the college. Suj advised Lin to prepare and warned him that if attendance dropped below 95%, a whole bonus would be cut. Later, Lei gave Lin directions to the classroom. While on his way there, he bumped into 2 girls. They had asked Lin where his classroom was so they could go and support him. After that, he continued heading to the class, and one of the girls sent a text to a group informing other students where Lin's class would be held. In the classroom, Lin had only 30 students. Suj and Lai entered the class and saw that the number of students was still the same. After some time, the students started piling in. Suj wondered why so many students were coming to the class. Lai told her that maybe it was because of Lin's handsome face. The number of students reached 100. Lai told Suj that they should get going as there was no need for statistics, but she insisted on staying so that she could see how he took the class. While Lin was telling the class, he said he'd call out names, and if anyone missed theirs, they should register. After finishing the lesson, he said goodbye to Suj. As he left, the system lady congratulated him on finishing his first lesson as a teacher and gave him a master memory. Lin asked her about the difference between that and the sage memory. She said the sage memory was general but polished, while the master memory was specialized in a specific area. He'd need to choose what area his master memory would focus on. The master memory filling was successful. At the Longxin Research Institute, Liu Ying asked Director Sun, who had taken over the institute's other party. He told her that a rich young man had acquired it and would arrive soon. She informed Sun that her research had reached the most critical stage and was nearing completion. Sun responded, advising her to stay calm about the situation. Vice President Liu Chu then told Sun that he was not very optimistic because outsiders were influencing the future direction of the insiders. Lin arrived, and Sun introduced himself, offering to show him around. While they were discussing the equipment, Liu Chu informed Lin that the institute had its own research directions, and he didn't want Lin to interfere too much with their work. Lin asked about Liu's qualifications, and Liu replied that he had a diploma in computer communication from Fudan University. He also mentioned that he was a doctor from Fudan, a rare talent, and warned Lin not to insult him. Liu stated that if he could solve the last problem of the project he was working on, it would advance domestic chip technology by 10 years. He warned that if he left, Lin's loss would be enormous. Lin responded by saying that the world wouldn't stop turning without him, and then asked Sun about the project Liu mentioned. Sun explained it to Lin. After hearing this, Lin sat in a chair in front of a computer and told him he would handle it. He finished writing the code and told Sun that he would send 50 million later so that he could use it to replace the old equipment with the latest. He also said that each person would be given a bonus of 500,000. Ying stepped forward and apologized for her behavior. She then told him that she would like to ask him some professional questions. Lin shared his contact information with her. Mr. Sun was escorting Lin out of the building when they met President Zhao Qi of Shidai University, who had come to borrow a lab. Since Lin was the boss, he gave the old equipment to the university. The president's secretary, Chu Chang, recognized Lin as one of the teachers at the university. The president then promoted him to the position of honorary vice president, stating that it would be a low-key appointment. The next day at the university, Fu Zhejun entered the office and told Lin to leave because his presence had caused Director Suj a lot of trouble. Lin asked if Fu was bullying him and expected him to leave with just a few words. Lai whispered to Lin, advising him to stop talking because Fu's uncle was the vice president of administration. Suj then entered the office, saw Fu, went to Lin's side, and reminded Fu that she had told him not to come to her office again. Fu threatened to murder Lin for causing problems for Suj. Suj touched Lin's chest and told Fu that she and Lin were simply working together, and it had nothing to do with him. Fu was surprised and said that someone like Lin should not be allowed at their school. Fu left, and after some time, Suj's phone rang. The principal asked her to call Lin to the office and suggested she tell Lin to go there with a better attitude. When Lin entered the office, Fu told him he was fired. Lin asked why he was being fired. Vice President Lai Detian told Lin that given his education, he was not suitable to work at a university. Meanwhile, Zhao Qi had sent Lin a text about signing the contract, and Lin told him that it wouldn't be possible because he was about to be fired. When Dishel saw that Lin was busy on his phone, he called him arrogant. Then Zhao Qi walked into the office, demanding to know what was going on. He listened to the explanation and then yelled at Dishel, saying he had worked hard to make Lin an honorary vice president. Fu and Dishel were shocked when Zhao told them that Lin was the director of the Longxin Research Institute. Zhao fired Fu and Dishel and promoted Lin to director, stating that they could share the office with Suj. The system lady congratulated Lin and awarded him the Twin Mansion. Someone from the Twin Mansion called, and Lin told them he would visit the next morning. After that, Lin entered Suj's office without knocking and found her changing clothes. She chased him out. Lin arrived at an event with Qin Yan. While she chatted with her friends, he went to get food from a table in the room. A woman approached him to get his WeChat, but he told her it was inconvenient. She insulted him and left. Then he overheard Yan and her friends talking about the big project at Yalu Design. Yan wondered who the boss would end up being. The general manager of Zhonghai Wingfeng Engineering, Wai Ziyang, asked Yan if she was interested in the renovation project of Wanjing Terminal. She said she was interested, but the problem was that there was no network in the area. Ziyang told her that he could make a way since the boss was his cousin. He just had to meet him for dinner to discuss it. Lin watched this. When Ziyang tried to touch Yan, Lin walked over to them and slapped his hand, saying he should forget about the dinner. Yan turned him down because she already had dinner plans with Lin. Ziyang called her arrogant for saying no to the big project. When Lin told him that the project would not be given to him, he laughed. Lin told him to call his cousin. He called, and Lin mentioned his name. Ziyang asked his cousin if he knew Lin, and the cousin confirmed that Lin was the one who gave him the project. Ziyang apologized for his behavior. Then Lin told Yan that he would wait for her in the lounge. After some time, Yan went to the lounge and found Lin sleeping on the couch. When she went closer, he grabbed her and made her sit on his lap. Still sitting on his lap, Yan told Lin that she couldn't understand him anymore because he had acquired the Wanjing terminal. She assured him that she would complete the Wanjing terminal project with both quality and quantity. Lin told her that he hadn't given her the project, but she convinced him until he agreed. The next day, Lin went to the place where he had bought the twin mansion. There he met Mo Ching Wan, his college classmate. She asked him what he had been doing since they graduated. Lin told her that he had become a college teacher. Wan bragged about the money she earned and asked what he was doing there. He told her that he wanted to buy a house. The workers stood at the front of the building, waiting for the rich man who had bought the twin mansion. The Far East marketing manager, Ren Jiangsu, called Ching Wan. She introduced Lin and told Ren to have dinner with them so that Ren could arrange a new job for Lin. Ren told Wan that having dinner with Lin was a waste of time because Lin was a poor man. Then he suggested to Wan that they should leave. Lin walked towards the workers and told them that he had not only bought 2 of their buildings but also that the show was quite impressive. Ren turned to Lin in panic and told Wan to get rid of Lin. Chin Wan was trying to get rid of Lin when Mr. Liu asked who she was. Mr. Liu then informed them that Lin was the one who had bought the twin mansion. Afterward, he told Ren and Wan to pack their things and leave. Ren asked to have dinner with Lin, but Lin responded that he was not qualified to have dinner with him. Mr. Liu then took Lin to sign the contract. Half an hour later, they were finished, and Mr. Liu recommended his brother-in-law's property company. Lin asked Liu to tell his brother-in-law to contact him. Meanwhile, Chin Wan broke up with Ren, saying she wanted to give Lin Yi a chance because he had written her a love letter when they were in college. Lin walked out of the building, and Wan approached him, saying she was giving him a chance and reminding him of the letter he had written her. However, Lin told her that the letter was from Zhang Song, not him. Lin walked to his car, and she followed him, got into his car, and told him to take her home because she had been fired. Lin had managed to get rid of Wan, and he drove off. As he drove down the road, he came across Ying arguing with a man. Her bike had been knocked over by the wind and had hit his car. However, Lin noticed that it wasn't windy at all. When Lin started asking about surveillance videos from nearby security cameras and mentioned calling the police, the man quickly apologized. Lin then offered to drive Ying home, and she accepted. During the drive, Lin asked why Ying hadn't gotten a car yet, especially since she had been promoted. Ying explained that she didn't think it was a good idea to buy a car right after getting promoted. Lin then offered to help her with car shopping. However, Ying made a surprising offer to Lin. She suggested letting her brother go and offering herself in return. Lin warned her that this could lead to serious consequences, including jail time, and mentioned that he had already contacted a lawyer. Ying then tried to undress to pay for Lin's help, but he advised her against being impulsive. He reassured her that they would arrive at her house soon. They had arrived at Ying's house, and she instructed him to sit on the couch while she went to take a shower. Emerging from the bathroom, she beckoned Lin to join her as she was feeling dizzy. Lin discovered her lying in bed and inquired if she lived alone. She disclosed that she was divorced and requested Lin to kiss her. As they lay together, Lin inquired about the reason for her divorce, to which she revealed her husband's infidelity. After a while, Lin left the bed and departed. The following morning at college, Lin noticed his desk was missing. Upon learning from Lai that it was in Suju's office, he sought Lai's assistance in relocating it, expressing his desire not to encounter a difficult situation with Suj. Suj emerged from the office and questioned Lin about his reference to a difficult situation. Lin stumbled over his words, explaining that she had misunderstood him. The office phone rang and Suj picked it up. Liu Yang informed her that Sun Xiaoyu had been on the verge of jumping from the building due to work-related stress. Lai inquired about the situation, and Suj, while rushing to the exit, briefed them, urging Lin to come along. Lin, curious about Xiaoyu's identity, was told by Suj that she was a bright student who had rented an apartment through her after an internship and was now employed at Zhonghan Capital. However, the specifics of her distress were unknown. Upon arriving at the scene, they made their way to the rooftop with permission from the police, aiming to talk Xiaoyu out of jumping. Suj approached Xiaoyu and inquired about the situation. Xiaoyu revealed that she had been harassed by the company's vice president, and her boyfriend didn't believe her. As they tried to get closer to her, she threatened to jump. Lin, frustrated, suggested she go ahead and jump, Not wanting to waste time, he also told her that if she died, the one who molested her wouldn't be brought to justice. She said it seemed impossible because he was the vice president of Zhonghan. Lin promised her he would ensure justice. When she attempted to jump off, Lin intervened and pulled her back to safety. Then he instructed the police to issue a statement promptly. Soj asked Lin where he was going, and he replied that he was heading to the Zhonghan capital to gather evidence. Soj instructed Lai to take care of the girls, and she accompanied Lin to the capital. Upon arrival, they informed the receptionist that they were seeking Kui Bin Lam. When the receptionist denied access to Bing, Lin called a number and requested to speak with Bin's office. They burst into Kui Bin's office while he was talking to Liu Changming. Lin asked Kui how he could justify molesting a student. Kui explained that Xiaoyu had seduced him and he hadn't wanted to, but she had framed him. Soj attempted to slap him, but he caught her hand and pushed her aside, stating she wasn't in a position to talk to him. He mentioned he had handed the matter over to the legal affairs department. Lin kicked Kui, sending him tumbling to the ground. Kui then instructed Liu Changming to call the security guards. He stood up, intending to attack Lin, but Lin was quicker, kicking him again in the face, causing him to lose a few teeth. Jin Song, the head of the legal department at Zhonghan Yu, warned Lin to cease or they would face legal action for assault. Someone shouted that Mr. Chin was on his way. Kui warned Lin that his days of impunity were over. Lin asked if Kui thought Chin would support him. Kui replied that Chin Han would help him because Chin's father was his cousin's uncle. Chin Han had arrived, and Lin explained the situation to him. Han kicked Kui, causing him to bleed from the nose. Then Chin Han turned to Lin, informing him that he would assist with the matter. Lin mentioned his departure and reminded him to have Kui sent to jail. He took Suji's hand, and they exited the building. The system lady commended him for inadvertently rescuing the student, rewarding him with 1 billion RMB. Suj advised Lin to go home and rest, as they planned to visit Shoyu's boyfriend the next day. While resting at the Kyushu Pavilion, Lin's phone rang, notifying him about the property. Due to exhaustion, he arranged to meet Yang Tianbo the following day. Meanwhile, at Triumphville, Han's father, Zhang Chen, inquired why Han had incarcerated Kui. Han explained that Kui had offended his friend. Zhang Chen then disclosed that he had found a girl for Han. Initially hesitant, Han changed his mind upon seeing the girl's picture, acknowledging her beauty. Chin Han had recognized the girl as Chin Yan. He showed his father a picture of her with her boyfriend Lin Yi. The father had told Han to go and have fun and that they would talk about it later. The next day, Lin entered a building and Feng Xin, a receptionist, had asked him if he had come to do business. Lin had told her that he wanted to register a company. She had given him some forms to fill out. He had given the forms to a man, but the man had given them back to Lin, saying they were not filled out correctly. When Lin had asked where the mistake was, the man had told him that the registered capital had been written as 500 million. Lin had told him that it wasn't a mistake. The man had laughed. Feng Xin had walked towards them and had told Mei Yi that it was just a form, and she would help him fill out a new one. But Lin had insisted that it wasn't a mistake. Then he had showed Mei Yi the supporting documents from the bank, but he had still told Lin to refill the form because he had written the entire twin mansion. Lin had told him it was his company and had showed him the purchase contract. Suj had called Lin to meet her at Star Dad to discuss Xiaoyu's boyfriend. Later, Yang Feng arrived and took a seat across from them, fiddling with his car keys. Suj explained the situation with Xiaoyu to him, suggesting that he should comfort her. However, he informed her that they had broken up and he had no intention of getting back together with her. Afterward, Feng's father took him to a meeting. Upon seeing Lin, he warned him to stop pursuing Feng, as he wouldn't care about the woman in question. When his father inquired about the conversation, Feng disclosed that Lin was a teacher at his university. Tianbo slapped Feng and accused him of not knowing that Lin was the one who had purchased the twin mansion. He then proceeded to physically reprimand his son. At that moment, a man emerged from the building and questioned Lin whether he wanted them to be evicted. Lin assured him that he would handle the situation. As they looked on, Lin revealed that he also owned the Peninsula Hotel. Tianbo had apologized for his son's actions, and Feng assured Lin that he had decided to reconcile with Xiaoyu and marry her. But Lin insisted that Feng should leave Xiaoyu alone. Then Lin asked Tianbo to have a private conversation with his son. Feng departed, and Lin advised Tianbo to guide his son properly, as their future business prospects might suffer otherwise. Lui and Suj were discussing Xiaoyu when the phone interrupted them, announcing Feng's presence at the office. Xiaoyu entered her office to confront Feng about his intentions. Feng expressed regret and admitted that Lin had helped him realize his mistakes, expressing his desire to seek Xiaoyu. She agreed to meet him. Meanwhile, Lin went to Ying's door to take her car shopping and found her preparing breakfast. She kindly offered him some. After breakfast, they headed to the car dealership. Ju greeted them warmly and inquired about their car preferences. Ying expressed her desire for an attractive car priced under 200,000. Hearing this, Ju enlisted Jinning's help, noting their limited budget. Lin questioned Ju's willingness to assist given their financial constraints, but Ju clarified they simply didn't have enough funds. Manager Tiu intervened, inquiring about the owner of a sports car parked outside. Upon seeing the car, Lin inquired about it, prompting the manager to request its relocation as it blocked their vehicle. Lin apologized and suggested they try the store across the street. Despite Ju's pleas, Lin insisted on leaving, leading to Ju's dismissal by the manager. However, before leaving, Ju purchased a Leopard Horse 7 for Ying and offered to help her practice driving, knowing she hadn't driven in a while. Lin met Quan at a restaurant. He told her he'd give 400 million to hire more companies to finish the work early and design a logo for his new company at the Twin Mansion. After they finished, Lin walked to his car. He saw a waitress helping Suj outside because she had drunk too much. Lin talked to her, and the waitress explained she'd been cheated on. She left Suj with Lin to take her home. While in the car, Suj asked Lin to take her to a bar to keep drinking. Instead, Lin took her to the Peninsula Hotel and ordered wine for her. Just as she was about to drink, Lin stopped her. Suj asked if he was afraid she'd harm him. Lin said he wasn't the one at a disadvantage. Then she mentioned she had a surprise for him. She led Lin to the bedroom and instructed him to lie down on the bed. Then she kissed him. The next morning, she woke up and saw Lin lying beside her. Feeling embarrassed, she got out of bed and left. When Lin woke up, he realized that Suj had already departed. Later, the system lady informed him that he had completed 70% of his career and asked if he wanted to start a new one. Lin agreed, opting to become a delivery boy. As a part of his new career package, he received 10 million RMB, a limited edition Tamburan T12 motorcycle, and a master skill. She mentioned that the motorcycle was parked in the hotel's parking lot. Lin went to check it out, donned the helmet, and rode off on it. He drove to the university and met Suj. He told her that he was there to resign. After completing the necessary paperwork at the university, he was tasked with delivering a piano stand. When he arrived, he handed it over to Professor Ru Gu of Shanghai Music School. While waiting, Hu Horan burst in, complaining that Lin had arrived too early because he hadn't finished playing his game yet. Lin advised Hu to listen to his mother because she meant well. Horan retorted that if Lin was any good, he wouldn't be working as a delivery boy. His mother overheard and scolded him, then apologized to Lin. Lin assured her that he could play and proposed a bet. If he won, Horan would have to listen to his mother in practice. Lin played a difficult piece that even surprised Go. They were both amazed. Lin then reminded Horan to heed his mother's advice. She had thanked Lin and told him that with his skills, he could have changed to a high-paying job. However, Lin had replied that he had no intentions of changing jobs. Afterwards, she had added Lin on WeChat. The system lady had congratulated Lin, rewarding him the Bay Moon Beach. They had called him at Bay Moon Beach to complete the procedures. Lin had gone and met Kai Ting Ting. She had given him the files and informed him that he only had the right to use them for 70 years, and renewal was necessary after expiry. He had wondered if he could negotiate with the actual manager of Moon Bay Beach. She had provided him the location, and while he was heading there, he had called Bison Jiang to inquire how much he knew about Moon Bay Beach. Jiang had informed him that it owed more than 200,000. Lin had instructed Jiang to consolidate the debts because he was coming to settle them. Upon arriving at Bay Road, they had found two boys playing around. Lin had handed them the files and instructed them to inform Dawn to evacuate and settle the debt. The boys had relayed the message to Dawn, who had vowed to visit Lin and ruin his business. Dong's friend Liu Qiang had smirked and complimented Dong's ruthlessness. Lin had gone to the Peninsula Hotel and approached the manager to inquire about outstanding debts. The manager mentioned Han, who happened to be at the hotel at that moment. Lin phoned Han and instructed him to settle the debts. Han agreed to meet Lin. Meanwhile, Lin waited for Han in the manager's office, where they were interrupted by someone informing them that a man named Dong Lei wished to speak with Lin. Dong and his associates entered the office. Lin instructed Wang to gather the security guards and await further instructions. Dong presented a box as a gesture of goodwill, expressing a desire for future collaboration. Lin declined the offer, prompting Dong to threaten to tarnish Lin's reputation in the business world. In response, Lin restrained Dong despite the attempts of Dong's associates to intervene. Lin asserted his authority as the owner of the hotel and the security guards. Dong was taken aback. Just then, Chen Han arrived and questioned Liu's presence at the hotel. Dong rushed to Han's side for support, but Han sided with Lin, refusing to engage in any business discussions with Dong. Chen Han chased Liu and Dong out before turning to Lin and explaining that he had helped him so he wouldn't need to pay back the debts. Lin agreed, and shortly after, Yan called him to place an order. Lin went to deliver the vegetables and meat, and Yan invited him to stay so she could demonstrate her cooking skills. Lin took off his jacket and offered to cook instead. After some time, he finished cooking and set the food on the table. Yan began eating and praised Lin's cooking. He encouraged her to eat more glutinous food while he fetched juice for her from the fridge. As he opened the fridge, he heard Yan moan with delight. Concerned, he asked her what was wrong, and she simply exclaimed that the food was delicious. Lin had asked why she called him, and she explained that she wanted him to come with her to check out the Wanjiang terminal. When they got there, she suggested that it would be nice to include the nearby area of Moon Bay Beach in the renovation plan. Lin proposed buying it, but she reminded him that he couldn't just buy whatever he wanted, especially since the beach belonged to ZF. Lin shrugged and put on his helmet. Yan remarked that there wasn't much fun in wearing a bikini and sunbathing on the beach. Just then, the construction site manager approached them and informed Lin that Donglei had settled the debt and transferred ownership of Moon Bay Beach to him. Surprised, Yan asked what they were discussing, and the manager revealed that Lin now owned the beach and invited Yan to go sunbathe. After they finished, she had told Lin to take her to the sea whenever he had the chance to play. He had agreed. Later, Lin received an order to deliver 2 swimming hoops at a single price of about 200, so he went to the store and bought the hoops for 209. When he reached the beach, he called the person who had ordered the hoops. The person instructed him to look for a red umbrella and mentioned wearing blue beach pants for identification. Ku Bing spotted Lin and signaled him over, with Lu Fei beside her. Bing admired Lin's good looks and called her friend Lulu to come and see the handsome delivery boy. Lulu asked Lin why he chose to be a delivery boy. Before Lin could respond, Fei chimed in, suggesting he must not be very smart. Then Bing offered Lin a job at her clothing store. Lin declined, asking instead for payment for the hoops. When he heard the price, Fei berated Lin, saying he had instructed him to buy 2 hoops for 200 yuan each, but Lin bought them for 209 each. Fei accused Lin of pocketing the difference in price. Bing had offered to cover the expenses, and Lu agreed to foot the bill. He then handed Lin 400 yuan. Lin noticed the money wasn't enough, so he asked Lu to settle the remainder, but Lu declined. Instead, Lin gave the money back to Bing, considering it a gift from him, and remarked that Lu's friends seemed to be struggling financially. Upon hearing this, Lu proudly mentioned his company's annual profit of nearly 2 million and dared Lin to purchase a Ferrari 812. He promised to reimburse Lin once the car was bought. Lulu chuckled, suggesting Lin couldn't afford such a luxury vehicle. Later, as they enjoyed wine by the beach, Lin surprised everyone by arriving with a briefcase. He emptied its contents, revealing the paperwork for the Ferrari, and pointed to the truck where the car was parked. Lu was astonished to see that Lin had actually purchased the Ferrari. Lin, noticing Lu's reaction, smirked and remarked that someone as wealthy as Lu should have no trouble paying for it. Lu stared at Lin, speechless. Lu Fei apologized to Lin, admitting that he didn't have much money. Lin then instructed him to kneel down 3 times, but Lu refused. Instead, he called Donglei and his associates for assistance in resolving the situation. Bing warned Lin to flee, as tangling with them would be costly. Dawn arrived, and Lu pointed directly at Lin. Upon seeing Lin, Dong and Liu immediately apologized for causing trouble and inquired about Lin's intentions regarding Lu Fei. Lin explained that Fei had demanded he kneel down and address him as grandpa, so they made Fei kneel in the sand until nightfall. Despite Fei's pleas and promises to refrain from such actions in the future, Lin instructed Dong and Liu to seek job opportunities from Bisongjiang. Bing requested a ride from Lin, while Lulu also expressed a need for transportation. Lin directed Lulu to take the truck, and he accompanied Bing on his motorcycle. Meanwhile, the automated system congratulated Lin for completing 3 orders with 5-star ratings and rewarded him with 1 billion. As Lin was reviewing the notification, Bing noticed the message and reacted with surprise. He took her to her clothing store. Lin asked if the store belonged to her, and she replied that she had graduated from Donghua University in fashion design. He took her business card and left. Later, his college roommate, Zhang Song, called, saying he might visit him in Zhonghai. Lin advised him to give a heads up when he decided to come. Afterward, he drove to Longxing Research Institute. He informed Sun and Ying that he had heard Cisco had developed the final program for the control unit, and he knew that the person behind it should be Liu Chu, who had been fired by him earlier. Ying suggested that Liu's results might have flaws. Considering Liu Chu's skills, Lin asked if they had applied for patents, and Ying wondered if they could register the patent before they finalized it. Lin responded that they should have registered it long ago, and he warned that delaying could make them a laughingstock in the industry when the time came to defend their rights. Sun took responsibility and suggested Lin fire him. Lin had refused to fire him, insisting they work together to surpass the technology Cisco had taken. He spent 12 hours at the computer, finishing the program but not the domestic lithography. So he asked Sun to find 1,000 clutch lithography machines and instructed Ying to develop a new cell phone system ASAP, matching or exceeding the 150 ecosystem. Leaving the building, he got an order for a duck peak battered charger. An hour later, he knocked on Zhao's door to deliver it. When he mentioned the price, Zhao accused Lin of overcharging. Zhao's wife intervened, urging him to pay, which he did. As Lin prepared to leave, Zhao's wife asked him to take the garbage bags, but he declined. She threatened to complain and leave a bad review, but Lin told her to go ahead. He walked out of the house and spotted a delivery boy struggling to carry a heavy table. He stepped in to help the boy set it down. Mr. Zhao emerged holding garbage bags and scolded Lin for not leaving yet. He angrily threw the bags down and threatened Lin with his car. Lin showed him his car, surprising Zhao with its quality for a delivery person's vehicle. Lin warned Zhao that mistreating others could cost him his job, as Lin was also in the same industry. Mr. Zhao knelt to tidy his bags and promised Lin he wouldn't repeat his behavior. Later, Lin received another order and headed to an apartment to deliver medicine. The girl who answered the door recognized him and taunted him, suggesting he'd lost his money and now worked as a delivery boy. She dropped the medicine and demanded Lin take it back. A guy walked out of the bathroom and saw what the girl had done to Lin. He recognized Lin and slapped the girl, informing her that Mr. Lin wasn't bankrupt but just going through some tough times. Lin handed the medicine to the man and asked for a 5-star review, then he left. Later in his car, Qin Yan called him, reminding him of his promise to cook for her. She suggested meeting at the Times Square supermarket to buy ingredients. They met up, and Qin Yan mentioned a new big market that had opened. Since Lin was a Diamond member, they could get a discount. They headed to the market, and Lin was surprised to see Qin Yan only putting cakes in the cart. She explained that desserts can uplift a woman's mood. While they were shopping, a man named Pan Wen approached Lin Yan and inquired if she had any interest in the entertainment industry. She replied that she wasn't interested, but Pan Wen persisted. Lin then reiterated her lack of interest and suggested he approach the fish vendor instead. Pan Wen boasted about how he had helped Liu Fangfei earn an annual income of over 100 million, but Lin brushed him off, telling him to return in 15 years. He even flaunted his bank balance, boasting about his 1.5 billion and expressed his desire to support Lin Yan for 15 years. Pan Wen apologized for bothering them and hastily left. Later, they arrived at Lin Yan's house, the Yunshu Villa, where Lin asked if she was certain her parents were not at home. Lin Yan questioned his timidity, to which he responded that he wasn't timid, just a bit embarrassed due to having been seen there several times before. He suggested to go upstairs and do 300 rounds. Lin Yan tried to subdue Lin, but our horny MC quickly overturned the tables. He teasingly offered some grapes, dropped it in Lin Yan's mountain range, and picked it up using his mouth. Lin Yan claimed it was dirty, but Lin claimed it was not as he licked his lips. That's it for today's recap. Give us a like and subscribe for more videos. See you next time.